welcome. I'm live, I'm hands-free, and welcome to my live stream, my K-pop weekly roundup live stream. I will be driving to work today because, life be lifing. Y'all know life be lifing. Like, I have a very busy life. I have such a busy life, y'all. Y'all know, I have to do my live streams in between, my real work because I work a real job. I have a real career, a real job. YouTube is just my hobby. Welcome to my weekly live stream. Every week I try to come here live and just talk with y'all. And we'll talk about the stories that we are set up today. We will talk about the Met Gala, and I had some real strong opinions about the Met Gala. We will talk about KG from VCHA. KG from VCHA, we'll talk about that. And that's in updates on her situation. If you've seen my previous live streams, I talk about KG from VCHA. She's suing JYP. She was a member of a group called VCHA. We will talk about Fantasy Boys. Who is Fantasy Boys? Fantasy Boys popped up on my radar. They were saying that one of them little boys was up on the TV making hand gestures like, help me, motherfucker, help me. I was like, oh my God, what? So I had to go and watch a few videos and do a little bit of research. So we're going to talk about Fantasy Boys. If you're a fan of Fantasy Boys, what is going on with your boys? Like, it's wild. This is a wild story. And then after I talk about my stories, we're going to we're just gonna shoot the breeze and just talk about BTS Reactor Con that I went to this past weekend, and I will come back and I will post videos. I just have to edit and get things together for the BTS Reactor Con, but it's gonna be an interesting live stream, and I know most of y'all are gonna watch it on the rewatch because I'll be doing my live streams at kind of very odd hours, but I have to do it. Instead of me just doing a whole formal video, this is just a lot easier for me while I'm going to work. So this is kind of like, a lot easier. I got this new phone holder thing, so y'all bear with me. But, safety first, cats. Safety first, cats. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Met Gala. Now, if y'all don't know, because my kids have never heard of the Met Gala, the Met Gala is this annual event that they have every day, and the Metropolitan Museum, I think it's for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Y'all correct me because, I know things, but I didn't look it up. But the Met's been around for quite a few years. At first, it started out as an artistic thing for designers. It started out as that. Now it's turned into this whole celebrity gala with K-pop singers. They started inviting in K-pop singers a couple years ago. Stray Kids, BLACKPINK. I don't think BTS has never went to the Met. Which I got some opinions about that because y'all know they didn't start inviting these K-pop singers and shit until BTS came on the scene. Then all of a sudden they yes, honey, come on BLACKPINK, come on. All these K-pop singers riding off the coattails of BTS. But anyway, because BTS is in the military, so girl, but that's neither here nor there. I won't even go there. But they've ridden off the coattails of BTS. A lot of these groups. Oh, you late? No, girl, you late. You just on time. Hello. Y'all are just on time. I may have to pull over. My daughter is messaging me. Anyway, y'all are just on time. I just started. So hello, 안녕, 안녕하세요. I'm just getting started. Y'all give me a second. Hold on. Oh Lord. Okay, it's my daughter just being silly. Anyway, welcome everybody here. I'm just not getting started. I'm going to be talking about, let me recap about the Met Gala. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about KG from VCHA. She's posted some receipts online. And then also, we're going to talk about Fantasy Boys. Fantasy Boys. Have y'all heard of the group? Hello, Jay and Jay Just. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Konnichiwa. Ni hao. Namaste. All my brothers and sisters in India. Namaste. And 안녕, 안녕하세요. All my Koreans out there. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Fantasy Boys. That's the biggest thing. Oh Lord, my daughter's calling me. I don't know why she's calling me. Hold on. Let me try to figure out why she's calling me. I don't know why she's calling me. My daughter's calling me. I apologize, y'all. But yeah, we're gonna Fantasy Boys is a story that rocked my world this morning, but we're gonna talk about it. So the Met Gala happened. Again, the Met Gala started out as this thing. It started out, okay, my daughter's saying, okay, my daughter's a bugaboo, y'all. My daughter's at school. Talking about mom. I'm like, I'm on a live stream, kid. Lord have mercy. This is my daughter all day. But anyway, so the Met Gala is like this. It started out as a thing for just designers and artists, and now it's turned into this whole celebrity thing where K-pop singers are invited. So there's like, I think Lisa was there, Jenny was there. Like you see in my thumbnail, there's a member of 17 that was there. I'm not familiar with 17. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not a what are the 17 fans called? I don't know what they're called, but I'm not one of them. So, and the theme of the Met Gala this year, because every year they have a theme to dress, and it's a charity. Now, I don't know what charity they give to every year. Is it a different charity? I didn't look that up. Y'all, I don't know, okay? But they give to charity, okay, the Met Gala. So all these celebrities show up, and they wear these designers, and it's a great way for the designers to be seen. And it's this very glamorous event. And people, they have like the worst dress, and people cover it online. So you might have heard people been talking about it because K-pop singers have been invited for the past couple of years. So the theme was black dandyism and highlighting African American designers. So normally the Met Gala, I don't really pay attention, but then when I realized the theme was black dandyism and African American designers, I was like, what? And so me and my kids sat around and we watched it, and we watched it for a little bit because I was like, okay, I'm interested now. Okay, when I was younger, I wanted to be a designer. So when I was in my early 20s, or when I was in high school, I wanted to be an interior decorator or a designer or a writer. So either one or all three, because you know your girl's ambitious. But I love y'all see now that I'm an artist. By the way, for those who are new to my channel, I'm an artist. You will look at my YouTube shorts, and I'm an artist. So I'm a creative kind of person, even though the field that I work in my normal job is not creative. I'm an accountant by trade, but I'm a creative. I like to make animation. I like to make videos. I like to make art. And I used to have my own clothing line like 3 years ago. I used to have like my own website and my own clothing line. I like to design clothes and as well. So it was black dandyism and black designers. Lisa from BLACKPINK, I gave her kudos to my girl Lisa, because she wore a designer called Ann Lowe. Now Ann Lowe is a designer that was back in like the 50s and the 60s, and she did a lot of dresses for like Jackie Kennedy, and a lot of people don't really know about that. Oh, so it was 17's leader. Okay, girl, go ahead. Oh yeah, and Rose, I forgot Rose was there too. Okay, 17 leader. I don't know all about 17 and who the leader is. Is that who the guy is in my thumbnail? I just stole the picture and put it on my thumbnail. I'm sorry, y'all. 17th leader. Okay, so I like Ann Lowe. She was one of my inspirations. I'm sorry, I live in the country. There's like vultures in the middle of the road. I'm just looking like, okay, y'all may see me get a little distracted because I do live in the country. Okay, if you look out the window there, look out that window. You see that? There's nothing but trees. Baby, I live in the country. I live in the country. I live in the middle of nowhere. So you'll see a bunch of just nothing but trees and no buildings and no homes, and because I live in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of land. That's kind of like where I live. I live in an isolated place. So if you see me just thrown off sides, is because there's sometimes chickens will run out in the road. One time a horse ran out. They jumped the fence and ran out in the middle of the road, and I had to stop. It was like, so if you see me reacting, it's because I am driving, and I do live in an area where wood-life creatures would just come running across the road, especially at night. But anyway, so the Met Gala, the theme was black designers, black dandyism, and that's something that I really have a love and an interest for. Without getting too preachy and too deep, but The Met Galas are planned ahead of time, so it's not like, because some people was online criticizing it, like, is this really the time to have celebrities coming out celebrating, black? Look, anytime you celebrating black excellence or anything, I'm always on board, especially black creatives, because I'm a black creative, so I'm always on board. And then second of all, the theme was dandyism, which is tailored suits and stuff, something that they have never done. So the Met Gala, it's been, I think they said over 25 years since they've celebrated like menswear or like a tailored look, which I love. And again, without me sounding too old or too preachy, I understand where fashion is today. I understand that the way, I can't speak for any country, let me back up. I understand in America where fashion is, non-celebrity fashion, I mean just like in our day-to-day lives, that it has gotten very, I've complained about this before in dating, that in America, it is very casual. It's a little too casual for my taste. That BTS, I did a whole video about BTS, how BTS has changed my taste in men. I like my men a little dandy. So I like a man who knows how to dress. My problem when I've come across a lot of men is that a lot of men are not put together here in the United States. They look sloppy, they look dirty. I have a 15-year-old son that dresses better than most grown men. I have a 15-year-old son, y'all, that knows how to groom, knows hygiene, that he knows how to take care of himself. He goes out and buy his own clothes. He knows what look good. He put colors together. Like my son knows how to dress. And I tell him that clothes don't make the man, but it makes you better. But it's better to look like you understand what looks good on your skin tone and that you actually didn't just roll out of bed. 90s fashion is best. You like 90s fashion? JK said she live in a village. You can understand? You understand, girl? Okay. JK, I be forgetting you live in a village, baby. You live in a village, so you understand. I feel like I live in a village. Like it's very rustic around here. I live on I live on a street or they call it a country road where it's one way in and one way out, and that's it. And so traffic gets real bad around here. So yeah, people are amazed that like I live, like people have horses, people have chickens, people have goats. My kids love it. They love living out here. But it's very quiet, very peaceful. I would love to live in a village somewhere. My kids, that's where they're headed. They're like, we want to live in the middle of nowhere with some goats and some chicken in a village. I was like, okay, girl, like I like it because it's quiet. But where I'm going to work, where I work is the city. It's the city. So it takes me like 45 minutes just to get to work. And thank God I work from home mostly. And then like yesterday it rained real bad and like our electricity went off. But anyway, I'm getting off. Our electricity always goes off. So I have a backup generator. I could go on, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. But anytime anything is celebrating black designers, black excellence, dandyism, and I wish that this would come back into more popularity about how people dress, because it is it's not for me. I understand if you're going to the grocery store, you sick, or you just hanging out with your friends and you just want to wear whatever. I get that. But it's to the point where now in America, it's like nobody knows how to dress anymore. It's all like sloppy pants and beards. And I just like, that's just not for me. I'm not trying to, if that's your style and that's your thing, I don't have any problem with that. But I just noticed, like I said, from talking to people in other countries and watching how people in other countries dress, that this is a very American type of thing. And it's not just black Americans. This is Americans, period. Like the way Americans dress, I don't get it. Like I'm just like, I can't go out someplace and find someone attractive when they just look like they rolled out of bed. Like looking like you rolled out of bed is big here in America. And I just don't get it. Like I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm good. People are like, why are you single? That's one of the reasons why I'm single, too. I don't like a man with a bunch of nasty, scraggly beard and look like there's sweat stains under his armpit. Girl, no. So I wish we would get more back into tailor outfits. You don't have to be wearing a suit when you leave the house. I understand. But I just want people to get more back into understanding that there are options. That's my thing with life and anything. Always that there's options. I believe there should be options in life. You know, if you don't want to dress that way, you should dress the way, that's fine. If you want to dress hip-hop and urban and casual and hoodies and t-shirts, that's fine. But then I think there also should be room and space for people who want to dress up a little more, who want to look like, you know, a tailored vest and a tailored shirt goes a long way, especially for a man, but even a woman, it goes a long way. But like I said, we just live in this bizarre space where like being sloppy and looking like you dirty is a thing, and it's just, it's not my thing. It's a no for me. When I leave the house, I don't look like that. I don't look like I just rolled up out of bed. My kids don't look like that. So when they're talking about dandyism, I was like, I wish we could go back to that. I wish we could go back to when black men and black women, you know, yeah, you can dress casual and strip down, and it has nothing to do with your wealth either, because a lot of people are saying online, well, this is kind of like an elite black folks thing, and I'm like, it's not an elite black folks thing. It's back in the day. I come from a very working class poor family, and my grandmother, when she would go, she would wear her Sunday best. It's just like when you go to church and people wear their Sunday best clothes. Like my grandmother was always looking good. My grandmother was always looking clean. Always. My grandmother had a little church hat on. She always looked nice when she would go out to a restaurant or go out to church. She was old school. She came from a different generation where you would go out and you would look your best. And now we've gotten so far away from that. I just wish that we would get back to that. And Lisa from BLACKPINK, she represented, like I said, she had Rosa Parks, she had Maya Angelou, and Ann Lowe on her backside. I was like, and people were saying, well, she had like this little skimpy outfit on. I'm not even mad with Lisa. Lisa looked beautiful, and she understood the assignment. A lot of these other like African American singers and entertainers, you know, they wore tailored suits, they look nice, but Lisa, I was impressed. I was like, Lisa did what? I heard it. I was listening to the Sirius radio, and they were talking about the Met Gala, and they were like, somebody named Lisa had Ann Lowe and Maya Angelou and Rosa Parks. I was like, well, no, it wasn't Rosa Parks. It's Maya Angelou, Ann Lowe, and then there was somebody else too that was on her backside. And I was like, what? And so I looked it up, and I was like, Lisa, oh, Lisa from BLACKPINK. I was like, oh, Lisa from Lisa. They were like, her name's Lisa something. They were like, from White Lotus. I said, that has to be Lisa. And yes, Lisa understood the assignment, honey. She was representing black women. So go, Lisa, go. I don't care what anybody say about you. You understood the assignment when some of these other people who are African American didn't even understand the assignment. So kudos to you, Lisa. My dad, you see your dad is very fashionable. I like a fashionable man. I'm telling you. That is so lost here. Like, I like a man who's fashionable. I like a man who knows how to dress. And like I said, there's, you know, when he's out, you know, running errands or doing something like that, he don't have to look, but at least put some colors together. But I know men that can't even they be wearing like orange and purple, JK. Like, I'm like, what is this? Are you a prisoner? Like, I know men that can't even put like a nice outfit together. Just colors that match. Like, I don't ask for much. You ain't got to dress like you don't have to be rich to dress nice or fashionable. I don't wear designer labels. I don't wear, the closest thing I have to a designer label is my BTS outfit. That's the closest thing I have to designer. All the rest of the clothes that I wear is either stuff that I find online. I don't wear expensive labels. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't believe in wearing labels and giving these Gucci's and Louis Vuitton people money, because these people, they do heinous things and how their clothes are made, and you know, and where the money is going and the value. And y'all know that most, like I said in my other video, y'all know most of these clothes is made in China anyway. Y'all know most of this shit is made in China. And so I go straight to the source and I buy clothes that I like from Chinese, you know, distributors. I'd rather do that than give money, than pay $500 for a Gucci belt. Like, that will never happen. So, but yeah, so I don't believe in name brands and all that kind of stuff. I just want good quality clothing, and that's it. That's it. But, you know, I just don't believe in spending $1,000 on a pair of shoes just because they got a Louis V label on it. I'm not doing that either. But you know, the Met Gala was good to see. Like I said, it was definitely more my style with the tailored looks and the suits and the menswear. That's definitely more what I would like to see more people dressing as in the K-pop industry, in the music entertainment industry, and outside of it. Like, I would like for that look to come back. So I'm very excited because people have been on the internet. They're like, what is dandyism? What is this? You know, like a lot of people, I thought, well, I didn't think that a lot of people knew, but I knew what it was. The moment they said black dandyism, I said, I know what that is. Because a lot of us who are into steampunk and stuff like that, we like that kind of style. I like that turn of the century, early 1900s, the Gilded Age. I like all that. I like cosplaying, but you know, I'm a nerd, y'all, so y'all just, you know, take it with it. Y'all know I'm nerdy like that. So if you have not checked out the Met Gala, they have been replaying it online. Go check it out. Look at all the outfits. It, you know, everybody was trying to get a picture of Kim Kardashian, of course, because I didn't think she looked that great. I thought my daughter wasn't impressed. My daughter was like, why is everybody like looking at her? I was like, it's Kim Kardashian. And once again, my kids are like, who? Because my kids don't know none of these people. Everything is made in China, right? Brands, right? I was like, y'all ain't getting nothing special. It's manufactured and distributed from China, and they ship it back to Italy where they. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm going underneath the bridge, so my internet may go on, off and on. But all they do is they send it back to Italy. They sew the label on it, and then be like, it's Italian. I'm like, yeah, okay. Or like another person explained to me, they take the bags and then they sew the handles on in Italy or France or whatever, and that counts as being made in France. I was just like, okay, that counts, yeah, as long as because they have like rules in clothing, like in almost everything. So fashion has rules, like they have distribution rules, manufacturing rules, and so one of the stupid rules is, as long as something is sewn in that country, the international rules for manufacturing and fashion is, as long as something or a certain percentage of it is crafted or sewn in that country, then they can claim it's Italian. So they go to China, and China makes the leather, and China makes the print for the bags, and China makes the pieces, and then they ship all the pieces back to Italy or France or Germany or whatever, and then all they do is have manufacturers that constructs the bags together. So they just sew the bag together, and then they like, that constitutes as being made in Italy. So even though it's not Italian leather, even though the print is not printed in Italy or France or whatever, but as long as the bag is assembled in that country, then it constitutes as being made. Like this is the trickery that goes on in the fashion industry. Like I could do a whole video about that. But anyway, but I'm just letting y'all know how fashion go like that. But go check out the Met Gala if you have not seen it. Go look at the outfits. Go look at the K-pop singers that showed up. Rose looked great. Jennie looked great. The lead singer, 17, looked great. And of course, I like Lisa the most because Lisa was out there representing black folks. And so go ahead, Lisa. She understood the assignment. Somebody came to her and told her, look, because that was a deep, like I said, I give kudos, because not a lot of people of any race know who Ann Lowe is. Like that's a deep cut. So for her to do that, I'm like, somebody had to tell her. Like I'm assuming that somebody, because she's from Thailand, somebody told her, okay, this is what you need to do. We're gonna do Maya Angelou, we're gonna do Ann Lowe. Like somebody got in her ear and told her, like, this is what you need to do. And whoever told Lisa that's what she needed to do, chef's kiss to that person, because somebody told her, this is what you need to do, girl. You need to go out here and represent. And Lisa, out of everybody that was there, really represented. So whoever her PR people or management team or stylist, whoever it is, whatever black folks Lisa got in her life, because I'm sure it was somebody black. Whatever black person that Lisa is cool with kicking it with, right on, brother or sister, whoever you are, right on, because that was a real deep cut that K-pop singer from Thailand wouldn't know anything about, but somebody broke it down for her and was like, okay, we're gonna do Maya Angelou. So I rise Maya, and then so whoever her stylist was knew the assignment. A+ for me, because that was something that people were like, who? I'm like, I'm like, oh man, Lisa, come on, girl. So I appreciate her stylist and appreciate her doing it. And Lisa to me is the prettiest woman in K-pop to me. To me, Lisa, people from Thailand, if you are Thai, there is something about Thailand people, I said it before, some of the most beautiful people on earth. To me, and that's just my opinion. Like I understand Koreans are cute, but when it comes, Korean men are very attractive. But for me, when it comes to women, I think women from Thailand are some of the most beautiful, exotic looking women. They're so beautiful. And they come in all different shades. I've seen brown skinned women from Thailand. I've seen lighter skinned women from Thailand, and they all are equally gorgeous. And so I gotta say, for me, Lisa is the most prettiest woman in K-pop, like to me. But that's just my aesthetic. And not saying that Korean-born women ain't cute. Not saying Chinese women aren't beautiful. They are too. I think IU is gorgeous. But for me, aesthetically, Lisa, the way she carries herself, the way she talks, I've heard her talk, the way she acts, I like Lisa just speaks to me. There's something about her that I find very endearing and spunky and funny and genuine. There's just something I like about Lisa. I've liked her ever since BLACKPINK first came out. I was like, oh, I like that one. Like, which one is that one? They're like, oh, that's Lisa. I said, she's not Korean. They're like, oh, she Thailand. I said, oh, okay, I like her. I like Lisa. I like her whole, she just gives off a good vibe to me. So this even makes me like her even more after this. So that was the Met Gala. Then now we're going to get into KG from VCHA. Okay, y'all. Okay. Let's go. So I did a live stream months and months ago when this story broke. KG, that's her name, is an American woman now, but she was 15 when she started. JYP, which is one of the big 4 companies in South Korea, agencies in South Korea, decided that they wanted to do like a cat's eye kind of thing. They wanted to do an international group. So they had this, I believe, this competition, and so they got girls, like I think 2 of them are from Korea, and then I think 2 or 3 of them are American or Canadian. Like they wanted to do their own like little cat's eye thing. And I don't know who did it first. I don't know if Cat's Eye did it first or VCHA, but anyway, they named the group VCHA. VCHA, that's a weird name, but okay. So so one of the members is KG, and she's the blonde one. So the group debuted, I think, what was it, in 2022? 2022, I think the group was starting to train together, and I think they released the song in early 2023. Y'all don't quote me on that. But I knew who they were because anytime an international group debut, I'm kind of interested. So then all of a sudden, like they came out with like one song, and then ain't nobody heard from them since. And I was like, okay, what's going on with VCHA? I'm like, I don't know if they coming out, they working. I didn't know what would happen to them. Then last year, I think around September of last year, it came out that KG from VCHA had filed a lawsuit against JYP. And I went over the legal affidavit and I read through the whole legal affidavit. It's underneath my live streams playlist. I read through the whole thing. And I talked about Westerners and K-pop. And VCHA was in California. They put them up in a penthouse in California. They were training in California, in America. So VCHA couldn't deal with it anymore. So she wanted out of the group. And at first JYP was like, okay, fine. But then they told her, okay, if you leave this contract, you gonna owe all these fees. And then also, on top of that, she had something in the contract, well, all of them did, where she can't make no music for a certain period of time. So she can't make no music. She can't come out with no songs for a certain period of time. Now, I told y'all in my live stream about this, that a lot of artists have this when they first start out, have this in their contracts, to whether they have like a period of time where they can't go out if they, in the contract, early, that they can't go out and do no other music. So VCHA was like, wait a minute, like what? Like, hold up. I guess her and her parents should have read the contract. They should have got a lawyer before they even signed that damn contract. But I know a lot of times artists are just eager to just they have a dream and they want to get their name out of there, and they're just eager. Just eager eager to be in the business. And then you got people who are parents who aren't legally savvy. They're not business savvy. So they just happy that their kid got a contract after all this work. I'm not mad at them. However, when the affidavit was released and I read through it, and the terms and the things that was going on, it's things that are not legal in America. So people have been saying on the internet throughout this whole thing, well, you know, this is unfair, this is the way people are treated. And some Koreans are like, well, she couldn't take it because she was American or because she was a white girl or something like that. First of all, I get what was in the contract was probably not any different than what's in Korea. But I told people where JYP messed up, they have these girls in America. You cannot have these same rules. And she was a minor. So she was going to school and working, because in America we got a lot of different labor laws that don't exist in Korea. The things that go on in the K-pop industry in Korea would be criminal here. And I agree that it would be, that it's not right. But that wasn't my argument. My argument is it's not lawful. They have to, in America, you have to get paid a certain amount. If you're a minor, you can only work a certain amount of hours per day. We have child labor laws here. They don't have that in Korea. So the idea that people are saying, well, she's American and she couldn't cut it and blah, 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 that is a moot point. When you start bringing these groups over here in America and training them here in America, and JYP has an American division, no, you have to follow by the rules of the country that you are in. You cannot come over here. If you want to do shit the Korean way, and again, that's a whole nother argument. That's an argument that I'm not going to have. If you want to do things the Korean way, and again, I'm not arguing the merits of that, I'm not backing that up, then you keep them in Korea. But you cannot come over here in America, I know for sure, and bring the same training and the same attitudes and the same, like, you're going to work from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. That doesn't work here in America. We don't play that here. So yes, do I think JYP are in violation of contract? Yes. Yes. The things that they were doing were in violation of child labor laws. Like yes. So Kate, unlike New Jeans, I'm gonna say it for the people in the back. Unlike New Jeans, who just wanted out of their contract because of a bunch of BS, KG had a real legitimate reasons why she wanted out of her contract. So this week, she went online and showed screenshots of text messages she had sent other members, she had sent her mom, of her mistreatment, further backing up her claim. And KG's been pretty silent. She ain't out here doing press conferences every week like New Jeans. She ain't on the internet crying. And so she revealed that first, JYP tried to take her to mediation. Like, before they take it to a lawsuit, they bring in an arbitrator, independent arbitrator, and they tried to negotiate with her. What broke down was they were saying that she owed a whole bunch of money. I think they were saying that she owed like $300,000. So they were like, yeah, you can get out of your contract, but you owe $300,000. And she's like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Then they were telling her, like I said before, that she couldn't make a living performing music. So that was the other thing that her and her mom are like, okay, this is a no. New Jeans is drama, yeah. Korean needs these roles. This is slavery. Yeah, New Jeans is drama. This matter. Yeah, this is serious. So KG also produced pictures of when she went to the hospital. Her in a hospital gown. Like, this is real serious shit. This is not, I didn't get a Louis Vuitton deal, or this person didn't say hi to me in the elevator, or the Seraphim got debuted before us. That's New Jeans bull. No, this is serious. This is her having a huge hip bruise with internal bleeding. This is her in the hospital. Then the next day, she took pictures with date stamps showing that this was like not even 24 hours later, she's still practicing 9-10 hours a day. So this is serious. This is her spraining her ankle. And this is other members that sprained their wrists, their ankle. They had injuries that the doctor told them, okay, you got to stay off and rest. They were not allowed to rest. So she was practicing. And then the thing that hit me the hardest about this story was the mental manipulation, y'all. The mind games was so crazy to me. Like, I understand them making you, but making them, you know, you gotta eat. And then the eating deprivation. She was saying that JYP would make these salads. They would make these salads for them. And they would be like, this is all you need to eat, this salad. I don't know what was in the salad, but the salad, I don't know what was in that damn salad. But they were telling the girls, like, yeah, you just eat this salad once a day. And then they couldn't eat after 5. And then when the girls would be like, well, I can't, you know, and especially KG said, I can't just survive off this little salad twice a day. And then when they did eat the salad and wanted to get something else, then the managers would tell them they wasting food. Well, y'all wasting food, we're going to charge you for the food. What? So they were kind of forced to eat a salad that they didn't even want because, so basically they were, in other words, they were regulating their diet. Okay. I'm surprised they didn't get them protein shakes and told them, look, you better drink this damn protein shake. Dang, I'm surprised they didn't regulate how much water they was drinking. Y'all let me stop. I ain't trying to be messy, y'all, but I'm just saying, I'm surprised they wouldn't be like, you should be drinking, how much water you drinking? You know, and then on my last video, I talked about the cameras that they had in the kitchen. And then, like I said, it's the mental manipulation. Like, she texting the management saying, well, should I work out this much? Well, should I be practicing? And they were telling her, well, you know what, KG, you just not getting it like the others. You know, the others are picking up things quicker than you are. Mental manipulation. So she was like, I got to work harder, work harder. Then they go to the next girl and tell her the same thing. You know what, girl, you just, you know, all the rest of the girls are doing it better than you, girl. So they would tell each one of them this.
Oh, are you ready?
Hold on. Yes, can I get a large sugar-free French vanilla iced coffee and add whipped cream, please? And also let me get a sausage McMuffin, and that's it.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, y'all, I had to do my order. I'm going to work. But yeah, like, they would each tell the girls that they all sucked. So they would work harder. They'd be like, you just not doing good. Hey. Ugh. Y'all see me up here in my BTS wallet. Let me find my card. Girl, where's my card at? That's my daughter's card. There it is. Y'all see my BTS wallet? Thank you. My BT 21 wallet. I just got this. But yeah, so they would tell each of the girls that they sucked. So I mean, I'm not laughing. Y'all, it's not funny. But I mean, it's tragically funny. So they would play mind games with them. Like, anytime they would sing anything, they would be like, nah, that's not good. You know what? Maybe this isn't for you. You know what, girl? Maybe this just isn't for you. And so the girls are like, oh my God. So they would do these little mind games to get them to work harder. It's crazy. Like, it's craziness. It's crazy. She had pictures of her passed out on the ground, and she said she was so tired, she would just lean up against the wall and just fall asleep. Like, they were literally falling asleep in between practices. They would rest for practice and they would try to nap. Again, she was a minor. She was under the age of 18. She was going to school, taking vocal lessons, training for 10, 11, 12 hours. That's not legal here. You can't do that in America. And then they told them that they can only speak in Korean. They told them they can only speak in Korean because they had to hurry up and learn Korean. And and for somebody who studied Korean, it is hard as hell to learn. And like this is a small amount of time. Like, within months, they was like, oh yeah, I gotta take school lessons, then Korean lessons. I don't know how these people do it. Like, I really don't. I don't know how these Korean men and women do it. Hello. Like, I just don't know how they do it, because it's crazy. Like, you know, and so she was just exhausted all the time, and then the hospital stays. And then she would go and she would get injections in her shoulder. She messed up her shoulder. So they would go and they would give them injections, and she was saying she didn't even know what the injection was. She is a minor. You can't just be injecting a minor and not telling her parents your daughter had an injury. Is it okay if we administer this medicine? She's a minor. She was like 16 years old. I'm like, that's something that her parents should have been. No, they were just like, okay, we're going to go to the doctor and we're going to give you this injection. It's probably like, she's like, I don't even know what the injection was. She's a minor. If they were a global group, why forcing them to learn Korean? Right, because they want them to be a global group, but then they want them to perform in Korea as well. The same thing for Cat's Eye. You know, Cat's Eye has done a lot of like Korean shows or whatever, but I think Cat's Eye got one girl in the group that speaks Korean. I don't know if any of the girls in VCHA are very, very fluent in Korean. I think maybe one. I think they were saying, yeah, that one is, but the rest of them are not. But I'm just like, have that one speak for all of them then. But no, they were telling them they had to go around and speak Korean. Then they were saying that they couldn't eat after, like I said, after 5 p.m. Then on their off days, they was telling them what they can do on their off days. They were asking them where were they going? What were they doing? They couldn't go certain places. They have to tell the management company where they were going. They had to text message the management anytime they was going to eat something that wasn't approved. And then they were telling them, well, you know, you're going to look fat on camera.
Sorry, miss.
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So they were gonna tell them that, like, well, you're gonna see the way you look on camera and you're not gonna like it. That the psychological manipulation was so crazy for me. Like the things that they do, and the thing about it is, this is not unusual. This is not just JYP, y'all. I would think JYP would know better because they are a larger company and they have resources, but just imagine what you go through working at a small agency. So this goes on at a large agency, and they named the choreographer. That choreographer was on their ass, girl. They named her. They said her name is Lee Bo-min. I've heard of Lee Bo-min is a choreographer. She's a real famous one in K-pop. They said the choreographer was on their ass. The choreographer would call them. She would tell KG she wasn't getting it. She was like, "You're not getting it fast enough." So she was like, "Yeah, you should be working harder because you're not getting it fast enough, girl. You're not picking up the moves fast enough." KG was like, "I was trying. I was working." She told her she wasn't getting it down. She's like, "Girl, you know what? You ain't getting it." She's like, "Girl, perhaps this ain't for you." Straight up told her, like, this may not be for you. Like, you're not getting it fast enough. So that would make her want to work harder and stay later, you know. And then, you know, they would dangle the carrot out there. They would just be like, you don't want to go on live and look foolish, and you know, you're letting down the other girls. Like, the other girls is like, we didn't say nothing. No, they would tell them that. Well, you know, the other girls kind of feel like, you know, you ain't picking up your weight. The other girls never said nothing like that. They would just tell them that. They would pit the girls against each other. Somebody said that too, that's remind them of Twice, older days. Twice saying that they had cameras. Yeah, somebody said that too. They said, oh, Twice went through that too. Yeah, they would pit the girls against each other. So it sowed discord within them, you know. They would tell them that, well, you know, this one said that you ain't working hard enough. This one said you fat. So the girls would be like, and then she talked about the saddest thing. There's a girl in the group, she wouldn't name her, that has an eating disorder, okay? And so all of this diet and all this shit just made the little girl eating disorder worse. And then the girl would just start burning herself with a cigarette lighter. Like, I hit the ground. My jaw dropped. I was like, so yeah, she said she wouldn't say who the name of the girl was, but the girl started burning herself with a cigarette lighter because she was so stressed out. and she was starving herself. She wouldn't even eat all day because she was such a nervous wreck because they would talk about her weight. And so they said she already had a problem with eating. And so this just made her the poor girl was a nervous wreck. And KG just tried to tell her to hold on, and so then there were some rumors going around that the girl tried to unalive herself. So you can take that with a grain of salt, but that's what I heard. That the poor girl was such a nervous, like a deer caught in the headlights. Like she was a nervous wreck all the time. That everything she did, she was scared. Like, is this good enough? Is that good enough? And yeah, they said the girl, not KG, but her bandmate already had an eating disorder. And I didn't know the girl was over there burning herself with a cigarette lighter. Lord have mercy. That broke my heart. I mean, these are young girls. I could not even imagine. I got an 11-year-old daughter. I couldn't even imagine. Like I couldn't even imagine my daughter going through something so horrific as having an eating disorder and trying to be in this industry. There is no way I would even sanction that or approve that. If I already knew my daughter had mental health issues and she already had an eating disorder, I wouldn't let her be in K-pop. Like, you lost your fucking mind. I'm like, I wouldn't let her be in the entertainment industry, period. I would make sure she got the help that she needed first. But yeah, she said the girl was burning herself, cutting herself, burning herself. Yeah, that's horrible. That's terrible. She was just a nervous wreck all the time. They just had that poor girl just nervous. Everything, she was scared to eat. They said she would just eat a little salad, and that was it. She would be so exhausted, she'd barely get up in the morning. Just like I told y'all, I saw that one video with one group member. I don't know who she was, but she was talking about she didn't eat so much that she thought she wasn't gonna wake up the next day. She thought she was just gonna die, and she was like, there's some days I didn't think I was gonna wake up. I was like, girl, what? I'm like, girl, what? You didn't think he was gonna wake up? She's like, yeah, she didn't think she was gonna wake up the next day. KG, she couldn't take it no more. She said it was affecting her mental health, and she just couldn't take it. She couldn't take it. She's like, this is not worth it. And I'm sure her mom was like, don't do this. Like, it couldn't be my kid. I would have hopped on a plane and been like, I'm coming here to get my daughter. I mean, but that's what fame do to people. Like, people want to be famous so bad that it's just shocking. So KG and VCHA, as of now, the lawsuit is still continued. Like I said, they tried mediation, but in mediation, they told her she would owe like $300-something, and then she couldn't produce music, I think, for like 2 or 3 years or some shit like that. Like, it was just some real crazy shit that was in that contract. And so that's why her and her parents sued, because they were like, okay, what? Yeah, like, we owe what? And then we can't, and then she can't do any music and make a living for a couple of years. So who wants to agree to that? I wouldn't. Like, I want to make music. Like, I want to opt this contract. So I would say for JYP, it's not looking good. It really not. Cause this girl got receipts. She got pictures, she got screenshots, she got conversations with the management. This little girl, KG, is smart. That's a smart one. She a real one. For her to be so young and understood, so I don't know, maybe her parents were telling her, you need to document everything, then kudos to her parents. Because that's where you get them. She is brave and smart together. Yeah. I said, KG was on it, baby. She wasn't no he said, she said. Like I said, unlike these new jeans. Where to prove new jeans? Where to prove Min Hee Jin? Where the proof at? Well, this happened and that happened. Why we so mistreated? New jeans, y'all mistreated. Okay. Where y'all proof? Where y'all cacao messages? I ain't seen. Where the proof at? Well, the Seraphim got this and got that. Where's the proof? There's no proof. There's no evidence for new jeans. But KG, she got receipts. She was smart enough to document everything. Her hospital stays, the dates, the time she went to the hospital. She took pictures of hospital records, hospital bills that she had to pay. I said, that's a slam dunk, done deal. Shot clock, done deal, honey. She's like, I got receipts. This is where I went to the hospital. And then had to turn around and get out there and dance 10 hours the next day. So, good luck, JYP, or not, because y'all wrong for that. You know, and if this is how, and then another thing, before I get off the subject, they were saying that they couldn't listen to any music unless it was a JYP artist. Now that shit was crazy. Yeah, they wouldn't let them listen to any music unless it was a JYP artist. I'm like, what? That shit is wild. Wild. Yeah, you can't listen. They couldn't listen to no music. Now, I done heard a lot of things in K-pop, but I ain't never heard that. I ain't never heard no label going. Imagine if Hyde did it. Look, you can only listen to BTS. That's all you listening to. Don't listen to nothing else. You better listen to that TXT. You better listen to that Illit. Like, I said, that don't even make no sense. Why? That is just bizarre. Why would you have them only listening to that? I thought that was just nuts. Now I was like, that's real weird. Like, the boss or their boss, Bang PD, didn't greet them back. Yeah, that's mistreatment. He didn't say hi to us in the elevator. He the CEO of the company, honey. Sweetheart, he ain't got to say shit to you. You better be glad you got it, even if you sitting in the same elevator with him. How about that? Be glad y'all in the same elevator. I said, poor KG over here sweating it out. Girl over here dying. Passing out in the middle of... And they complaining that Bang PD didn't say hi to them in the elevator. I'm like, girl, if y'all don't sit down somewhere. Your Hive is totally off. They give their song. Yeah, they were saying that it's a rule made by RM. I was like, that made me fall in love with RM even more. When he would suggest that they would have a playlist for the other up and coming trainees and groups to listen to, where they'll be exposed to different genres of music. I found that out like 2 weeks ago, that RM did that he implemented that. So they could get a better understanding of what type of music, where the music came from. That made me love RM even more. RM's a real one, honey. RM's invited to the barbecue and the picnic, baby. He's a real one. He's a real one. So there's some comments also, but I'll get into it later. There's a comment that RM said that he told somebody that basically they were colonizers and his people weren't colonizers. And I was like, did he really say that? I looked it up. I thought somebody was lying. I was like, he really did say that. He was like, he told somebody from a UK or French interviewer was like, y'all people was colonizers. Ours aren't. We had to build our civilization from nothing. We were colonized by the Japanese. If y'all don't get on point, if you don't go somewhere, I said, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but I learned that RM really did say that. Like, your people have conquered people and colonizers. Like, we had to come from nothing. Like, we were colonized and we had to build ourselves up. Because somebody was I think the interview was trying to go in about the Korean society or something. And he basically told me, he's like, well, y'all colonizers. Y'all use other people's labor. I was like, ooh. I was like, I know RM did not call them colonizers. I looked it up. I said, child, yes, he did. I said, RM, I love you, boo. But anyway, y'all know RM be my fake husband, and Yoongi be my side piece. Yoongi is side piece material. Side piece material. Yoongi is side piece material to me, honey. Woo! Anyway, let me go on to my next story before I get distracted. And then we get into the next story. It's Fantasy Boys. So I didn't know who Fantasy Boys was. But I was like, well, that's an interesting name. Fantasy Boys is a 10-piece member mixed K-pop group. Like, I think some of them are from China. I think one of them is from Thailand, and the rest of them are Korean. Okay, so there's like, there's some Chinese, some Koreans, some Thai boys. They're all really cute, real young. I think they're like 18, 19, 20, like young. So Fantasy Boys is a group that's been around since, I think they were saying late 2022. I think they kind of debuted late 2022, 2023. They've released, an album. I think they released the album in 2022 and then another one in 2024. They're part of a small agency called, get this, y'all. What is it? It's called Pocket Doll Studios, okay, or Pocket Doll Agency. And that's a very fascinating name to me, Pocket Dolls, because to me, Korean idols are kind of like pocket dolls. So there's another group in this label called BAE 197 or something. BAE 197, 173. I don't know. Y'all don't quote me on that. But they're on this label Pocket Doll. I said, interesting choice of name, but they're a smaller agency. So Fantasy Boy, they were doing like, they were filming a music video or dance performance or something. So what started all this, what I read, because it popped up and I was like, what is this? It said the Fantasy Boy member was, and then one of them was from the United States. So the one we talking about, he's from the US. So they were doing like a behind the scenes of filming the video, and he got on there, and apparently I had to ask my daughter about this. I didn't know that there was a COVID sign that you're in trouble, and it's like a hand sign where you do like this. Like, I didn't know this was a thing. My daughter knows it. I may be doing it wrong, but my daughter's like, yeah, Mom, everybody knows that. I'm like, no, I didn't. She said she learned it from school. So I watched the video because, I had to watch the video because I was like, K-pop fans, y'all be tripping sometimes. Y'all be seeing things. Y'all be going through things. And I'll be like, man, I said, man, he making this up. I said, maybe he was just waving. Maybe his hand hurt. Maybe he got a cramp in his hand. I was like, this can't be. So I watched the video a couple times, and he did do that like twice. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't think nothing of it. So then somebody had a YouTube video. So let me go, what is going on with this? So apparently another member had like a virtual fan meet. And he did the hand thing too. And I was like, okay. And apparently them two members that did the hand thing, apparently they real close. They like besties in the group. And so I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so what's going on? So fans got all alarmed. So there's been like hashtags, and fans have flooded the agency with emails and shit on X, and people went crazy. Fans went crazy. So I went and dig a little bit more about the history of, I was like, I want to know about Fantasy Boys. What is the history of this group? Apparently this is another one of these groups that were founded on K-pop elimination shows. Now, I've said it before in other live streams that I do not like the way groups are founded. I do not like the K-pop elimination game show, whatever. So in Korea, they have these game shows where they bring on like 100 contestants, and then they have to do like dancing and challenges, and they narrow it down. Oh, it was during lockdown. Oh, I never heard about Fantasy Boys either. So that's what. Oh, it's to prevent domestic. Oh, okay. So it's a symbol saying that permit stop DV. Okay, I didn't know. My daughter knows it because she was like, yeah, if you're in trouble, do that. I was like, because all the kids in her school know this, and I didn't know it. Okay, so this is what the hand signal, it means you in trouble. I better stop doing it. People go, I better stop doing it when somebody be like, ma'am, are you okay? I'll be like, I'm good. I'm on a live stream. I better stop doing it because people going to think I need help, But I didn't know this was a thing in America because somebody was saying, well, he's American and he doesn't know. But I'm like, I'm an American, and my kids all knew it. And their little friends all knew it. So I don't know what part of America he's from, but I'm like, obviously this is a thing in America too, because I asked other people and people are like, oh yeah, they knew it. So I was like, he had to know what he was doing. So I went back and looked at this group. Okay. This group, like I said, was founded on one of these elimination K-pop shows that I don't agree with. I think these K-pop elimination shows are a setup. I think these K-pop elimination shows are kind of like a popularity contest. I think these K-pop elimination shows are sometimes a joke. They're not serious. Like, they're not serious. I think a lot of times they already know who the winner is going to be, and it's kind of a setup. So that's how I feel about these K-pop elimination shows. And then sometimes these shows have been real cruel. Like, some of these shows have done really cruel things to their contestants. Like, I watched a whole like 2-hour documentary about like the history of K-pop elimination shows and the controversies that have gone along about them just basically picking whoever they want to pick. How some people have been on these shows and behind the scenes their parents have paid the way in, or how they find these trainees and where they find these trainees. And like, it's like you can go on YouTube and pull up a bunch of videos, and it's very controversial. So they found fantasy boys on through this means, right? And so they're a 10-member group. Like I said, they're from mixed nationalities. Very cute. And so one guy was chosen to be the leader, you know, because every K-pop group got to have a leader. So leading up to their debut, all of a sudden the fans noticed that the guy who was supposed to lead the group, I forgot his name, he all of a sudden was nowhere to be found. Okay. They're like, well, what happened to this dude? He's supposed to be the leader. They're like, no. Then they got somebody else in there. And then changed the leader to somebody else. Right. Turns out, what was reported, that the leader, he had been dropped because the company claims that he wanted more money than the rest of the members, and that he didn't agree with the contract terms, and that it was over money. He came out later on his Twitter and said no, that it had nothing to do with him wanting more money than everybody else. He was saying that when he looked at this contract, him and his parents looked at the contract, and there were things in the contract that his parents did not agree with. Yeah, he's an adult. Okay? But him and his parents, and they probably got a lawyer. They probably got an entertainment lawyer in Korea. I don't know his parents. I don't know this guy. He may have not been in desperate straits. Some of these parents that kids are in K-pop are working class people. Like, they're in like, I wouldn't say the best financial straits. But then some of these K-pop singers, they come from really good, well-to-do families. So I don't know what kind of but it kind of sounded like he had parents that were like, wait a minute, before we sign this contract, let's have somebody look it over. And he said that the terms that they'd agreed on before the contract, but when the contract showed up, he said there were things in there that were like inhumane. And he said things that him and his parents, good parents, these sound like he had some good parents who were like, no. We didn't agree to this. No, we're not doing that. And he didn't elaborate, but he said, so then the label came back and badmouthed his parents, saying that, well, he's an adult, and that his mom wanted choices about how her son was styled, and the lineup when they stand up, she wanted her son to be in the middle. The dude came out again and said, no, that the agency was trying to badmouth him and his family. That his mother did not ask him to be styled a certain way in a certain lineup. He said that was undeniably false. That they were trying to make him look bad. And by making him look bad, it influences whether he can get a job in another K-pop group. So they were really trying to like go in on this dude and also sabotage his future career. So that, he had good parents. I said his parents were real one. You know, his parents were good parents. They were like, oh, they'll sign that contract. So I guess he was like, we ain't this desperate for this money. Y'all can he like, y'all gone with that. So no, he did not want to sign. He went back again to the company and was like, look, There's certain things in there that were negotiated that they changed the contract, and this happens in K-pop a lot. They'll tell these artists, oh, we're gonna do this and this and this and this, and they don't want to be in a contract. Or we're not gonna do this and this, and then in the contract you're like, wait a minute. So no, his parents was like, don't sign it, and they were trying to say, well, because his parents were interfering in certain, and he was like, no, they're trying to ruin my reputation in the business. He was like, my parents did not do all that. He was like, no, the point being was what was negotiated ahead of time was not lived up to. And then the guy said that other members of Fantasy Boys had the same issues, but all of them were scared to say something. So he was the only one that stood up and said something. So he got dropped from the group, right? So he got dropped from the group. So good luck to that guy. Hopefully he gets other opportunities, because it looks like he was pretty talented. And apparently he was one of the popular members on the show. So then as time goes on, they're working real hard. Y'all know how hard BTS work. Y'all know how hard these groups work, especially when you're with a small label. I cannot even imagine the things that BTS have went through. I mean, they were talking about Fantasy Boy. They're talking about their schedule was insane. Like, they were flying to America and then to Japan. They were saying some members were getting 8 hours of sleep a week. 8 hours of sleep a week, not a day, not in a couple of days. 8 hours of sleep a week. That they were literally doing fan meets in Korea, then flying to Japan, then flying back to Korea, then doing, variety shows and fan meets and fan signing, and then more promotions, then back to, then flying to China, then like this. Like, they were online posting saying that they were really, really exhausted and really, 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 really tired. So like I said, they were doing a virtual fan meet, and then one of the members was doing the symbol, and I saw it. And then so it got to a fever pitch. And so the guy who did the hand thing came out and said that he didn't mean to cause any alarm, that he didn't mean to do it, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm rolling my eyes because I'm like, of course he had to say that. I'm sure the label told him, his agency told him, look, you've gotten all the fans riled up. I need you to say something. And so the other dude who did it during the fan meet came out and said, this is all a mistake, and this is just a misunderstanding. Like, I don't know what I was doing with my hands. I was tired. I was jet lagged. I didn't have no sleep, y'all. I was just doing things with my hand. That's what they came out and said. They made them a human puppet. Yeah, when they said Pocket Doll agency, they was for real. Like, they was like Pocket Dolls for real. So yeah, they came out and said no. So then another member wait a minute. So Fantasy Boy just get even more shadier. So then another member go on hiatus that the label didn't even say anything about him going on hiatus. Like, literally the fans show up for a performance and he wasn't there, and everybody's looking like, okay, I guess they didn't think they was gonna notice because there's 10 of them. They're like, hell, there's 10 of them. They ain't gonna notice. They ain't gonna notice. So there's 10 of them. 9 show up on stage, and the fans are like, wait a minute, where's the other one? Where's that one at? I forgot his name. Girl, the agency didn't even say nothing. Then they came out after the performance. It was like, yeah, he on hiatus for a little bit. Didn't explain it. He just on hiatus. Then another member was hospitalized due to exhaustion. Hospitalized. He was in the hospital. And the label Pocket Doll came out and was like, yeah, he's hospitalized for a little bit. Yeah, don't worry, blah, 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 blah. So my question is, what the hell is going on with Pocket Doll? Like, what? So they have had literally one member kicked out, 2 members on hiatus or in the hospital for mysteriously, I don't know, illnesses or whatever. Then they showed their stage performances, and then they showed them on stage, and they looked like death. Like, they were literally on stage like this. You can see them dancing and it looked like they literally about to pass out. They look extra, extra pale and sickly and skinny. Like, you can see them not smiling on stage. You can see them and then they're on their social media posting things saying that they're exhausted, that they're dead tired, that like, it's been tough. Like, they're actually on social media like, this has been hard. Like, we are exhausted. We have not gotten any sleep. Like, and I'm just like, and I sat there and watched her performance. You could just see the like the haunted look in their eyes of like you could tell like okay they just standing there like this just you know they making pocket dolls for real, like they really was. They wanted them to be like, and then the promotions, when I looked at their schedule and their promotions, I had never seen nothing like that. Now I ain't seen some people with some crazy schedules, but their schedule was so crazy that even I was like, okay, somebody need to come go help these kids because it was crazy. It was literally them getting home, then 3 hours later they on a flight somewhere else, doing a fan meet. They got to take a flight, get to the hotel, immediately get ready, make it to this promotion thing, be at the promotion thing for 4 hours, then turn around and take a flight 2 hours later back to Korea, and then they have like a 3-4 hour late break, and then they had to go back and then get dressed, and then they had to film this and then go perform here. Like it would that schedule is nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I was like, and they look so haunted and pale and sickly. And I was like, okay, like this is so this gets into the KG from VCHA thing, and then with this small agency. And like I said, with small agencies, I don't agree with it, but I can kind of understand. I don't agree with it, but I kind of understand because they don't have the money or the resources to really, they just trying to make money as soon as they can off these artists. Any agency, but the smaller agencies, they really underneath it because they have investors and they probably owe tons of money, and so they talking about they need to calm down and give them a break. They still don't have a break. They're still out there doing things. You look up online, you can listen to their songs, and they seem like some real nice. It's 10 of them. It's a lot of them. And I was like, well, you can't afford to give them a break. Why would you have a group with 10 members? Like, why would you? I don't understand the idea of having this big group, but then if you're crunched for cash or money, I would think that having a smaller group would be more economical. Having a group of 5 to me would be easier to manage than a group of 10. Someone need to be pulled a KG on pocket. I said that, and so they said that they weren't doing this hand gesture. They said it wasn't doing, but like I said, this has made Korea Times. This has made news here. This has been on social media. People even have YouTube videos about it. Like this just broke, like literally, like it was in the Korean Times the other day. So, and it just popped up when I was looking at Korean Times. I was like, what is this? So I was, I read the article and was like, I gotta see this because K-pop fans just be so damn dramatic. But I looked it up, and no, K-pop fans weren't being dramatic. I know what I saw, and even though they're trying to make out like we crazy and we didn't see what we see, I know what we saw. And by the haunted look in their eyes and the things they were writing on social media, I mean, if this is what we're seeing, again, allegedly, I'm not trying to throw any dispersions, but behind the scenes, just imagine what's happening. Like if this is what we see, just imagine what's unseen. So I don't, I just, because what's unseen is my worry, because, and then maybe they were trying to call for help. Maybe they were trying to signal to their parents, like, help us, help, like, I need help. Because KG, from VCHA, she was sending text messages to other people saying help, like, I'm drowning. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm tired. My body is broken. And that's a young age to be having them kind of damn. And let me say one thing about being young. When you're younger, yes, your body can heal better and take injuries, but you could mess something up really bad that will affect you for the rest of your life. And it's not worth it. 10 years from now, KG could get a degree and go and be a nurse or a teacher or a lawyer, or she could work behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. An injury can be bad enough to where it's a lifetime. Like you for the rest of your life, you're going to be running around with a fucked up shoulder. Just like Sugar. The rest of, even though what happened to Sugar wasn't because of BTS, he had injured his shoulder, but him performing repetitively with an injured shoulder and him messing up and him eventually getting surgery, I promise you it's something that he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. Like it's not something that just heals and you're just like, okay, I'm over it. I've had 2 knee surgeries and a back surgery. I'm telling you, it's something that as your body gets older, your body starts to process things differently. Your body, you start feeling those aches and those pains. So I couldn't imagine having a shoulder injury or a wrist injury or a knee injury at 17, 18, 19 years old. And everything's good now. Then once you start hitting your 30s, you're like, ow, you may have to go back and have surgery again. Or surgery. Because your body just starts to break down in ways that you can't really count. You don't have no control over. When I injured my knee, it was 15 years ago. Now, granted, I'm old. Okay, I'm old as hell. Now, granted, 15 years ago, I was still old. 15 years ago, granted, I was still in my late 30s. Okay, but but even injuries I had a knee injury when I was a kid, and so that same I injured this knee 3 times now. So the same knee injury I had as a kid, it and I injured this knee again. I think if I wouldn't have injured it as a kid, it probably wouldn't have been as bad, or I had to have 2 different knee surgeries. Now my back is just old age and genetics. Like I've this degeneration in my back, but that's just I didn't injure it or anything, but that's just how the cookie crumble. But the idea, like, to have injuries at that younger age, like young people don't really understand that, like, oh, I can heal it and move on. No, sometimes your body is like, it'll heal, but not completely. Sometimes you'll heal, you won't have the full range of motion. Sometimes you heal, and then as you get older, you may pull it again. You may re-injure your shoulder, or your back, or your wrist, and you're like, I done re-injured it. Or you may re-injure to the point where you have to have surgery, or you have to have some kind of shots. And then as your body gets older, your body starts to break down. And so then as you get older, you wake up in the morning like I did this morning, and my damn back is hurting. And I'm like, oh, my back is hurting. Like, my back hurts. You have knee fractures. Oh, you scared now? Yeah. Yeah, it'll come back, and because your body it's just being a human. Your body just breaks down as you get older. Your body is like, look, your cells you just start to get, you age. You start feeling those aches and pains that you may have ignored when you were younger, and it was no big deal. But then as you get older, you're like, okay, I injured my knee like 20 years ago, and then all of a sudden you'll start feeling like a little twinge when you get up in the morning, or you get up a little slower, and oh my God, my knee, like, oh my God, I injured that like 30 years ago. Like, what is happening? Like, that happened in my 20s. Like, I don't need to do anything about that. Your body, and then some people are perfectly fine, but you can't. My point is, you don't have any control how your body's going to respond to age and injuries. And I would hate to see somebody who is a trainee or aspiring to be a K-pop singer, and here they are, snapping their tendons, messing up their wrists, and then this is not a business that they gonna be in forever. This is not a forever thing. This is something temporary. But an injury can be all the rest of your life. So it make, like I said, with KG or these other young people that are in K-pop right now, they may grow up and be like, okay, I've been left the business. Or they may look back and be like, why did I want to be a K-pop singer? I was young. I wanted to be famous. I had a little bit of talent, and maybe it's just something they just wanted to get out of their system. They want to do. But then as you get older, your career and your life may go to many different places, and so you may be like, K-pop, but then you're left with injuries that you have to pay for hospital stays, and you have to pay to get injections and shots, and you got to pay medications, and then you wake up and you're achy. So these may be things that may be with you when the K-pop industry and the K-pop business is long and long gone. So I just tell young people, period, to take care of yourself, take care of your body, take care of your health, whether it be your mental health, your physical health, because all of that, as you age, will come back to haunt you. There are things I wish I did not know back then that I know now, that I would have started early and go back and do, in my physical health. I wish I wouldn't have gone so gung-ho, in a lot of the exercising I would do and lifting weights, because I understand that, like, now, like, I can't. Now some of that is kind of caught up to me a little bit, but I'm still in good shape. I work out 5 days a week. But I would tell people that make sure you get into, like, a mental health and a physical health routine. Like, that really helps you. I need to get into a mental health routine. But young people out there who love K-pop and want to be in the industry is not forever. Everybody knows that the industry is made for the young folks. We all know that by now. That the industry is made for the young. You know, if you don't know, you should know. We all know that now. They're getting trained younger and younger and younger. So the industry is for the young. Not a lot of groups are in the business as long as BTS or Red, what is it? Red Velvet. Not a lot of groups are around 10, 15, 20. There's not a lot of Super Juniors. There's not a lot of Red Velvets, especially girl groups. Girl groups, it just seems like they fizzle out within like 5 years. So not every group is going to be around 15, 16, 7 is going to be BTS or Red Velvet or whoever. I don't know, whatever girl groups out there that's been around for a long time. Or Super Junior, like I said, Super Junior or Shiny or whoever. Most groups last about 5, maybe 7 years, maybe, maybe. The girl groups don't seem to last as long. And so you have to take care of yourself for the long term, not just for right now, right now, right now. You got to think long term financially, emotionally, mentally, physically. Like 10 years, 10, 15 years from now, I'm not going to be doing this. I need to understand what my life plan is going to be. What areas do I want to take my talent into? Do I want to stay in the business, or I just want to use this as a stepping stone to do something else? And a lot of K-pop singers use the K-pop industry and the money that they make as a stepping stone to other things, other business ventures and other or behind the scenes in the industry, whatever they need to do. But that applies to all young people. It's like what you do now can influence what happens to you in the future. And so you have to choose carefully. You have to be kind to yourself and be good to yourself, physically, especially physically. Because I tell people all the time, your health is your wealth. Without your health, you become a burden on a lot. It messes up your life. If your health is diminished at an early age in your 30s and your 40s, then you got to have your parents take care of you, or brothers and sisters take care of you, or your kids take care of you. Like, that's a burden that a lot of people, if they can help it, don't want to go through. Then it affects your livelihood and how much money you can earn, whether you can work or not. Like nobody wants to be in ill health and infirmed, unless you're really, really old. Unless you're in your 80s or 90s, maybe so. But nobody wants to be infirmed and in bad health at 30. Like that's just not cool. That's just not something that anybody should really face. And in America, our medical bills are so insane. So you're going to go broke just trying to keep yourself healthy, because the way it is here, we don't have any good health care. So I just tell people, just take care of yourself. And I worry a lot. I mean, not a lot, but I do worry about these various K-pop singers. But I know the industry could be brutal. And let me go about in saying this. Let me say something that I've been wanting to say for a long time. Just my theory. I feel, and you heard it from me, you heard that healthcare in the U.S., it's beyond expensive. It's beyond expensive. I tell the story that I know the medical healthcare system better than anybody because my husband was sick for about 3 years before he died. Once my husband died, I was saddled with over $1 million worth of debt, of medical debt that I had to get negotiated and taken off. It's a whole story that one day I'll tell y'all. But I had to navigate the healthcare system with my husband, who was very ill, very, very ill, for a long time. And when because I was his wife, when I died, they were like, "Here, you owe almost $1 million worth of health bills," because he was so ill, and it's so expensive. A hospital stay here is like, depending on how long you stay, can be tens and thousands of dollars. Like just a stay in the hospital for a couple of days is like $15,000. Depends on the hospital, where you live, and what gets done. But my husband had extensive medical problems, and the medical bills is enough to drive people into bankruptcy. Like, that's how bad it is. So not only are you dealing with the fact that your loved one is sick and they may have passed away, but then you're also dealing with the fallout of all the medical bills on top of that. So that's what I had to deal with for years. For years I had to deal with this. I still get bills about my husband's stuff. Even it's been over 10 years since my husband died. I still get stuff. I'm still angry about the medical industry here. That's one of the things I've railed against for the longest time. I could do a whole video about the things that I've gone through, about the medical insurance that I had through my employer and how they wanted to put my husband away in hospice at 20 something years old, and they just told them, just put him in hospital. And I had to go through medical mediation to keep them from locking my husband in a hospice facility like he was ready to die. And I was like, my husband is literally 27 years old, and you're going to put him in a hospice facility like he's fixing to die? He wasn't fixing to die. They just didn't want to pay the medical bills of having my husband come home with me. They didn't, the insurance company did not want to pay that. So they thought that they were going to strong arm me by locking my husband away in a hospice facility where people go to die. And I told United Healthcare, yes, United Healthcare, that they were fucking crazy. I said, I'm not putting my husband, for God's sakes, I had a 2-year-old. My son was 2 years old then. I said, I have a toddler at home. I can take care of my husband. And I had to prove that to the insurance company that my husband could come home with me. I didn't think this was legal. I didn't think this was a thing. I learned real quick this a thing. The medical insurance company can dictate you and tell you terms. And they were going to tell me, you take your husband home, we're not going to give any, we're not going to send you any home health care, or he can be put in hospice. That's what they were telling me. Those are your two options. You can take your husband home and he can die, because I couldn't afford to pay out of pocket for the medical, or we could put him in hospice where we'll take care of him. That's what the insurance company tried to do to me. And I had to fight them. I had to go all the way to Austin. I had to go all the way to the medical board. And I had to fight them. I had to fight them tooth and nail. I had to go to arbitration. I had to get an independent nurse, independent doctors, all that, just so they wouldn't send him to a hospice facility where people go to die. And he had already been in the hospital for like 4 months. So my husband was ready to come home. And he said, if I got to come home and die, then I'm going to come home and die. But he's like, I'm not spending any more time in another hospital. Like I'm on the phone, my husband's crying to me. Like, I want to come home. And I'm like, and here I am like, okay, what do I do? Yeah, the healthcare system's fucked up. So I tell people, y'all think the healthcare system is bad? I said, I've experienced it. I've had sat there on the phone with my husband's crying to me, like literally in tears, saying, I've been in a hospital for 4 months. I want to come home. And then me having to be like, okay, I wanted my husband home. But then I was telling him, well, if they send you home, they're telling me that they're not going to pay for any treatments. And then my husband telling me I'd rather die than sit in another hospital. If I got to come home and have no treatments, then so be it. So that's the thing. I had to wrangle with these people for months about this. And then once my husband was released from the hospital, he came home with me. And they were able to send a home health care. But I had to go through, I was working, I had a toddler, and I had a sick husband. I was trying to do all of this. So people would talk about, I've been through it, honey. I've been through it. I tried everything in my power to keep my husband alive as much as I could. And I had to fight the insurance company many times through his illness. But my husband got sick just because it's just genetic. There's nothing he could have done, we could have done. It was just one of the unfortunate luck of the draw in his genetics that he had heart problems at a really, really early age. And so the healthcare system is horrible. Now I understand the healthcare system in Korea is a lot better, but it's still nothing you want to deal with in your early 20s or 30s, and nobody wants to be up in the hospital if you can help it. So I would tell people, about falling on the sword of the entertainment industry, because the entertainment industry is not going to take care of you. They're not. They're in it for profit. I have to remind people all the time, these companies are in it for profit. No matter how much the singing and the dancing and the costuming and the illusion, at the end of the day, whether you're in America or Korea or anywhere or UK or whoever, the entertainment industry is in it for profit. This is not a charity situation. This is not artistic just to be artistic. Ooh, look at that. Look, art. Like, no. It's the entertainment industry, but it's a profit. Like, they are there to make money. And so they'll do anything in their power to make money that they can get away with. And unfortunately, in South Korea, they don't have the laws that other countries have about child labor, about contractual laws are very different in South Korea. The things that they can get away with, labor, even with adults, that there's things, even with adults, things that happen in South Korea to K-pop singers that wouldn't even go fly here. But that's because people here, it used to be like that. I'm like, where do y'all think South Koreans get the model from? South Korea did not wake up one day and be like, you know what? We're going to have slave contracts. That's it. We're gonna sign these mofos to these contracts. Where I tell people before they throw Korea under the bus, I'm like, all these executives, Bang PD, JYP, Suman, SM Entertainment, where do they go? Who do they study underneath with? Here. All of these mofos were in the Korean entertainment industry in some form, either as creatives or behind the scenes or singers. They came to California and studied underneath Sony. They studied the American music industry. They saw what the American music industry was doing in the 90s. And Lee Soo-man, the great granddaddy, the founder of SM Entertainment, the granddaddy of K-pop, he came over here and learned in America for over 3 years. And they took the worst parts of the American music industry that has evolved over time. They took the shit from the past, like back in the 60s, how they had these contracts, how they would take all these artists' money. They learned from that shit and brought it to Korea. So the idea that South Korea is so horrible, I'm like, honey, the music industry in America used to be like this. The stuff that Korea does right now is how it was in like the 50s and the 60s, like when the music industry was just getting a foothold. So Korea needs time to change, just like America needed time to change. But yes, those slave contracts, I'm like, Koreans just didn't think this out of their head. They just like, okay, we're going to do these contracts. Yes, they did invent certain things and innovate certain things, yes. But a lot of it is what used to go on in America. A lot of people don't know that because they don't know American music history. But back in the day, artists couldn't marry. They couldn't admit that they were married. They couldn't have relationships. Artists did not get royalties. Artists, they got screwed over big time. The label owned their music. The label owned their songs. That's just how it used to be. There are so many artists that went broke because the labels are like, okay, we did promotions, we paid for this, we paid for that. Yeah, you yeah, we're gonna take that money off of your profits. This is how it went on up until like even down to this day. There is shady stuff going on in the American industry with music and contracts, with songwriters, with singers. There are people who've written really popular songs that don't get any credit, ain't got no royalties or nothing because of the deals that they've signed. And they're allowed to get away with that here. So here it's a lot of money, funny with money going on here. A lot of the contracts, a lot of the songwriters, the producers, whatever, they don't make a lot of money off these songs. They don't get these big royalty checks. And then the idea that the artists are putting their names on songs that they didn't even help write or nothing, because they want the royalty, they want the songwriting credits too. So not only they want the credits for singing it, but they want the songwriting credits too. Because that's where the real money is. The real money is in composing and songwriting. That's where the real money is at. And so they want that money too. So you'll see Beyonce or what. I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying she doesn't do anything on her songs. But there are a lot of artists that have credits on songs that they barely did anything for because they want the songwriting credits as well, because that they get royalty checks from that too. So like I said, the music industry is still shady, but it's funny with the money here. But yes, back in the day, artists would fly here, fly there, would do these concerts and these shows. Back in the day, artists used to be on tour. Like now, artists be on tour for like 3-4 months, and that's a big deal. Back in the day, artists used to be on tour for a whole year. They would have year-long tours where they would just be on tours all year. Because that's where the money is at. And that's where the money is at today. But the idea of artists being on tour for 3-4 months, back in the day, that was a joke. How long you be on tour? 8 months? 9 months? Well, we're doing a whole year-long tour. And they'd have like little breaks in between. But these groups used to do year-long tours. They do festivals, they do clubs, they do venues for a whole year. They would just be gone. Because the label would make them. And they had these contracts where they had to go on tour a certain time, regardless of whether they want to do it or not. That's just the music industry. Again, South Korea learned from the best. They learned here. That's where they got all this shit from. That's a Korean thing. They honed and perfected the Chinese system. I wouldn't say perfected, but they created that on their own. But the contracts, can't nobody tell me that's Korean. I said them contracts sound like them contracts back in the 50s and 60s when they owned black artists, when they really literally owned everything a black artist do. That's where they got it from. Back in the day when black artists was pumping out music, whether it be Motown or Chess Records or whatever, even the white artists, but especially the black artists, they would really take advantage of them. And so all these black artists created these songs, and they would take the songs and they would do covers of the songs, and would not pay the artist because that wasn't a thing back then. That's where payola came from, how people would pay to have their records on the radio. All this was perfected here in America. Buying up records and albums, Sajagi, that started here. Record labels used to do that. Go to record stores, buy up albums. I'm like, that's nothing new. Now it's digital downloads. Now companies now have whole farms, have whole call centers of people where all they do is just run up the numbers on Spotify or iTunes, and they have whole call centers of people, or they can do it from home. They hire people to go and download multiple to push their artist numbers up, to inflate their numbers up. They do this all the time. They have whole like bot farms where this is done. And like Spotify and these other companies are trying to catch up on that. They're trying to create technology to counter that. But record labels been doing shady shit since the day one. Everything done in Korea has been done here. We the blueprint for the chicanery, okay? So I can't get too mad at South Korea, like, oh, this is horrible. And I'm like, you fools, but American music industry used to do the same horrible shit. Like, we did the same things to our artists. People had to fight. People literally had to take people to court and fight to be like, no, this is unlawful. No, we're not going to do this. Artists had to fight. Our artists had to get together, songwriters, musicians, and go to court and literally fight these people in court. That's the only way. Now they buy bots. Right, they just buy bots. I don't believe none of these charts. I understand that people want Jimin to be on the charts and Jungkook, and I understand how that's important to K-pop fans, even beyond BTS. K-pop fans, I know they try to get you to stream and everything like that. I understand that. I don't own Spotify. I'm not into music like that. If I want to listen to music, I'll go on YouTube. I'm a visual person. I got to see a video. You know, I'm a visual learner. I'm a very visually oriented person. So for me, I watch stuff on YouTube. I will go on YouTube and watch the same, go to sleep, and I'll watch on Spotify. My kids do. I don't. So I understand that that's important to K-pop fans, but I was like, first, artists don't even make a lot of money on downloads and Spotify's and iTunes. They make pennies on the dollar. Pennies. I mean, literally. You can download 1 million streams, and I think they were saying the artist makes like maybe $5,000 on 1 million streams, if even that. The way to support your artist truly is through merchandise. Merchandise is where in concerts is where the artists make the most money. Merch and concerts and brand deals and stuff like that. But I understand where ARMY, they want, and K-pop fans want bragging rights because they want their artists to be on this chart and on that chart. But I keep telling y'all, like I said in my other videos, the chart don't mean a damn thing, y'all. Because when these agencies like Sony, Geffen, Atlantic, Warner Brothers, whoever, when they got whole people and whole bots downloading these songs over and over and over again, and they've been found out, you can Google it, you can pull it up on the internet, baby, where this is not rumor, this is real shit, where these record labels in America have been found out to have whole farms, bot farms, where all they doing is just downloading the music all day, inflating the numbers. And so sometimes you'll look at the charts. I barely look at the charts, but when I do, I look at the charts like the top 20, and I'll be like, I don't know, who is this? Like, sometimes you look at the chart and the shit don't make no sense. The math ain't mathing, because you're like, how is this person popular? So I go to my kids, because my kids, they generation alpha, and I said, hey, Gen Alpha. So, and I asked their little friends, do y'all know who this person is? And they like, not really. Do y'all listen to this artist? They like, ain't nobody listening to that person. So then I asked my son, ask his friends, you 15 years old, Gen Alpha. He'd be like, my friends don't listen to that. I don't know anybody listen to that. Huh. Okay, let me go on the internet. Hey, internet. Hey, Gen Z and Gen Alpha on the internet. Hi. I'll come back and ask y'all, do y'all know anybody that's listening to this? And people be like, nah. I'm like, So how is this person an opening up for Taylor Swift? And how is this person this? And how is this person all over? Oh, what my kids tell me, oh, they TikTok famous. Oh, they all over TikTok. I said, okay. Yeah, nobody really listens to their music, but people subscribe to their TikTok channel. I won't say any names. I can say a lot of names right now. People like, oh, they everybody know her because she on TikTok. Do y'all listen to their music? Nah, not really. Ah, I see. Okay. I see where this is at. So these mofos is TikTok famous. Oh yeah, they famous on the internet, mom. But they famous on Twitter. They got a lot of followers there. So people just downloading their music just to download it. Pretty much. I get it now. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, got it. So there's a lot of artists, like I said, out of TikTok. There's a lot of artists that are on the charts that I've never heard their songs. It's never popped up in anything. My kids are like, we don't listen to that. I'm asking people on the internet, y'all listen to that? Nah. Do you know what this is? Yeah. Do y'all listen to this person's music? No. Okay, so how are they on the charts? Nobody really seems to know. How did this song get to number one again? What song is this? But the industry loves them. Boris City and other places have talked about this. How the record labels pick and choose their golden children. How BTS was never picked and choose to be the golden child. How 8 labels do quote unquote 21st century version of payola, which is basically they're not paying radio stations anymore. They're just buying Spotify and they're buying iTunes and they're buying clicks and views on people's Instagram channels. I said, yeah, the labels, they do all that. They'll buy followers and clicks and views. So everybody will see this person everywhere and think, well, they have to be popular because I see them everywhere. No, honey, that's just called good PR. That's good marketing. There are some K-pop groups, I ain't gonna say no names because y'all get mad, but there are some K-pop groups that people have called out not being that popular, but they just have a good PR. Well, I take that back. I will say one, New Jeans. I will, because I've said it before. I said they ain't popular. They just got a good PR firm behind them. They got good PR. So I have said that about New Jeans. But there are other K-pop groups out there that everybody think they're popular, but then when they go on tour, nobody's really buying that. I tell people the litmus test for any group, any singer is touring. If this, I won't say who I'm talking about. If this person or persons are opening for this group or this singer, and they not on a tour, if they are performing on American Music Awards and Grammys, and they're performing at this venue with these singers, baby, they are fake ass famous. They're not that popular. I didn't see a particular singer that I won't say her name, that everybody's like, oh my God, and they won Grammys. But I'm like, okay, so this person doing a world tour at like 6 different dates, what kind of venue? The venues weren't even that big. This person opened up for Taylor Swift. This person went on a tour with other artists. I'm like, oh, and they supposed to be popular? Okay. I said, we'll see how popular they are in 2 years. Because a lot of these artists will be popular for a year or two, and then 2 or 3 years from now, you'll be like, oh, what happened to such and such? Remember, they were all over everywhere, and they were on award shows, and they was all over TikTok. What happened to them? They're not popular no more. That's the entertainment industry. So if y'all notice that, it's fake. Like, so I tell armies, I understand y'all want bragging rights. I get it. And I understand that the higher in the charts you get, the more prestige, the more respect you will have within the business. But on the other hand, it's all a setup. Like, and then they keep moving the goalposts. They keep changing the rules because of K-pop fans. So they just be like, well, Now you got to have a different email address. Okay, well now you got to have, like the IP address that can't be, like they keep changing the rules for these streaming channels. They just keep moving the goalpost because they see that like K-pop fans are really rabid, but the general public is not that crazy over. They don't have streaming campaigns like K-pop do. So they just keep changing the rules. They like, well, okay, well, you got to be on a different phone and a different email. Y'all know how they do. Y'all know how they do better than I do, cause I don't do these streaming stuff. But y'all know. But I've seen the videos where Spotify have changed up the rules several times. Where Billboard keep changing their rules every 6 months, trying to screw K-pop. They like, well, these numbers don't really count, but these numbers do. And then, well, you know what? I don't really know about the radio. Then radio means a lot more. Yeah, we'll make radio plays really important because they know K-pop don't get played on radio like that. They know that radio is a setup. That that the companies are paying for their artists to be on the radio still, even though it's payola, it's illegal, but they do other things instead of just outright giving them money. They like, look, we'll give this tour, my artists are coming on tour. We're going to give you exclusive interviews to this artist. That's going to be more listeners on their channel. That's what payola now is these days. Payola now is quote unquote marketing. We'll give you an exclusive interview. We'll have you at the concert. We'll give you concert tickets and exclusive interviews. Well, then what happens then? They're going to push that artist on the radio. They change the rules every time BTS top the charts. Girl, you ain't never lied. Every time I'm like, oh, here we go. Jimin with who? They over here, Billboard didn't know what to do. They like, shit, who's up, been on the charts for like 12 weeks with shit. Like, we gotta figure this shit out. Cause, Jimin up here 10, 12, 14, 18 weeks in a row. Well, shit, that can't happen. So they up here, Billboard up here changing the rules. Now radio plays is more important. Cause they know that they don't play K-pop on the radio a lot. Now radio. Well, radio. But the radio industry that y'all control, because the radio stations are owned literally by like 2 or 3 different companies. They used to have independent radio stations all over the country. They don't have that anymore. Most of the radio is owned by 2 companies. So it's a setup from the get-go. So it's a setup. So if you don't play ball with these 2 or 3 companies, your artist is really not going to be played on the radio. And like I said, they know they can't pay the DJs or the companies anymore. They can't do that anymore. All they do now is just offer incentives. Offer PR, offer incentives, offer advertise. We'll buy advertising dollars on your radio station. For what? Oh, just because. No, it's implied that whoever's buying the most ads, whoever's offering the most exclusive interviews, most likely your artist is going to get played on the radio. You can see that. I don't listen to terrestrial radio in America anymore, but you can see it on the radio. Whenever somebody comes and visits a DJ or something like that, then all of a sudden you'll start hearing their song more. Is that a coincidence? This has been going on for decades. Even when I was a kid. When somebody goes on tour and they come and visit and they're advertising their tour, then all of a sudden you start hearing their songs on the radio. It's not a mystery. It's just how it works. It's just one version of payola. So BTS have notoriously, in K-pop also, has notoriously been screwed over because a lot of the K-pop agencies don't have the relationships with the radio owners here in America. And then also in America, they want to keep their business very insular and try to keep Korea out. Like the music industry has had a concerted effort to do anything to keep Korea out because they don't get all the money from Korean artists. When BTS go out and do their thing, Big Hit and Hybe set the terms. BTS are now popular enough to where they can kind of set their terms in America to a certain extent, but it don't mean they like it. They don't like it. And then you have these executives that are old. These old white men that are like, 60 years old. They don't understand K-pop. They don't understand K-pop. They don't understand the appeal of it. They don't understand the fans. They don't understand what fans do and how fans are much more rabid than the ones in America, and they don't like it because they can't control it. They have distribution deals with Hybe and Big Hit, yes. But distribution deals don't equal concert tickets and merchandise. If they ain't got access to concert tickets and merchandise, the American music industry is like, we ain't got it. We don't give a F about none of that. Yeah, we got a distribution deal with Big Hit and Hybe. Yeah, we'll distribute your money, maybe advertise your concert. But at the end of the day, most of the majority of the money is going back to Hybe and the artist and Big Hit and that. It's not going to an American company. So when it comes to PR and marketing and brand deals, that goes to Hybe and Big Hit. That's where the American music industry makes a lot of their money. Brand deals, marketing, concerts, tours, merchandise, BT21, all of that shit is owned by Hybe. So the American music industry is side-eyeing K-pop. They don't want K-pop to succeed. And to be honest with you, a lot of them don't want BTS to come back. I'm just going to keep it real. They don't want K-pop to be popular than American music. There's no upside to them business-wise. So when BTS started to become popular, a lot of the narratives from what I've seen was very negative. It was a lot of people like, oh, who is this K-pop? A lot of people were saying a lot of racist, misogynist shit about BTS from what I've seen. When BLACKPINK came out, everybody was like, oh, BLACKPINK, they so pretty and cute. A boy band? Then you got misogyny. Then you got the men in their feelings. Why are these women going crazy? Don't worry about it. BLACKPINK come out, everybody like, oh, they so pretty. A boy band come out, not all suddenly motherfuckers feeling threatened. I sat there and watched video after video of people dragging BTS for filth that I ain't never heard nobody up here dragging BLACKPINK. I ain't never hear nobody up here talking about BLACKPINK appearance. I ain't never heard nobody up here talking bad about aespa and Twice and what they look like. Anybody heard that? I'll wait. When the hell have you ever heard any influencers or music people dragging somebody's appearance? But they did that to BTS. They called out their masculinity, their manhood, horrible, ugly, disgusting things have said about BTS. Nothing about their music. People made fun of them, all kinds of shit. BLACKPINK, I ain't never heard nobody do that. Who was making fun of BLACKPINK? Nobody. I went online and I looked. Who making fun of the way BLACKPINK look? Nope, they pretty girls. aespa, pretty girls. Twice, pretty girls. BTS come out, they look like girls. They ugly. They not masculine. Why is women into this? They ain't even cute. They corny. That's all the stuff that I seen that was negative about BTS. Is people mocking their appearance, people mocking their songs, and then BLACKPINK came out a little bit later, and then everybody was like, we gonna jump on the BLACKPINK train. They elevated. Oh, they beautiful. Oh, they cute. They are. I love BLACKPINK. But nobody was like taking shots at what they look like. Nobody was sitting there saying, these girls, I don't get it. I don't know why men even like, I don't even understand why they even like, they ain't even that cute. Nobody was saying that. But people were saying that about BTS. Even K-pop industry don't want to BTS. They do and they don't. They do because it kind of elevates K-pop, but then they don't because it's a lot of competition. You said when Jimin is like, when Jimin's like crazy top the chart, they changed the rules. They only impact Jimin so Olivia would take the lead. Right. I don't like that narrative in K-pop. I don't like that rhetoric and narrative in K-pop. That boy bands get demasculated, and it's about their appearance, and it's about how they're dancing, and it's about how they're dressing. But for the girls, it's girl groups can do whatever they want to do. They can get up there on the stage and barely dance and do this shit. They can do all this. They can do all this and barely get up on the stage and be like, ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody like, ooh, what? you know, they so talented, they so beautiful. That's a prime example of misogyny and patriarchy. Because BTS, the male influencers and reporters in the industry, whether they recognize it or not, started to feel some type of way. And I saw it. Like, I went back and watched the videos because I wasn't BTS Army then. But I went back and I said, I know what this is. This is fucking misogyny. These men are in their feelings because these men look better than they do. Because men that look like this is forcing you to come up. Because you can't look like that on your best day. Then people get upset. Women, we don't get upset about other pretty women. We not just for all the things that women get blamed for being catty and jealous. Women, we not like that. Hence the reason why girl groups have a large female following. Women, we see other beautiful women, we're like, okay, I want to aspire to be that. You know, not me, but I'm just saying a lot of girls are like, oh, I look up to them, or I like that person, or that person reminds me of me. Men don't think like that. Men see somebody doing better than them, looking better. It's a really deep-seated jealousy. And men try to hide it and cover it. And then they try to pull off like women, like we the jealous ones. We try to uplift other women normally. Men be on the down low, behind the scenes, trying to tear you down. And not because you're a better person. It's because they perceive you as being more successful, especially when it comes to desirability of other women. Then men can be just as bitchy and petty as women can be. My ex-boyfriend worked in the industry. He worked in the construction industry. And he said, I've never been around a bunch of men that act like just catty, jealous, bitchy women. Men can. But the narrative out there is that women, we catty and we jealous. Please. I didn't see so many men be so fucking petty to other men because they jealous. And then when it comes to other women being attracted, when it comes to women being attracted to these men get in their feelings. Why are they looking at them? Because women like good. And I've said it before, I said it again. Women like good looking men. I don't know how the narrative has gotten out there that women, you know, we like nice men. That's true. We do like nice men. We do like intelligent men. Yes. But what's get lost behind is that there's this narrative that men are very visual and women are visual too. K-pop is evidence that women are fucking visual. I'm not saying BTS aren't talented. I'm not saying these K-pop groups aren't talented. But men, we're visual. Women like good-looking men. and what a person find good-looking is subjective. Like what I find good-looking may not be what another woman. But at the end of the day, yes, women, we do like good-looking men. We don't just like nice, and sometimes the men that are good looking aren't very nice, and we fall into that trap of the bad boy. People like women like the bad boys. Yeah, that there is an appeal, emotional, mental appeal to that, but at the end of the day, a lot of times the bad boys is hot. That's what gets left off that narrative. That some of these bad boys look real good. I don't know anybody that's gonna be with an ugly bad boy. Let's just put it that way. That I'm like, I'd be sitting there looking at it like it's kind of obvious why she wants the bad. Here's the nice guy. He's cool. He's sweet. He cute. And then here the bad boy taking his shirt off with abs, sweat pouring off his abs, and he looking like a fucking guy. Like what? It's not about him being bad. It's just like I got normal guy and I got sweat pouring off his abs guy. I don't know. He might be a bad boy. At that point, do you really give a damn whether you're a bad boy? All you saw was a sweat pouring off the fucking abs. That was enough for you. It would be enough for me. I'm like, I'm a bad boy or not. I'm going with that one. So a lot of times people talk about women don't like nice men. No, women like good-looking men. Not that we don't like nice men. Just like men, we notice good-looking men. We like, oh, shit. What's that over there? Whew. Women like good-looking men. Some of us more than others. Some of us are a bit more shallow. I admit it. I like a nice looking man. Yeah, women like good looking men. People get too wrapped up in. I'm to the age where I don't need your money. I have my own. So I don't need to date somebody for their money or for what means that they have. I just want you to be stable and be an adult. But when we go out, when we go out and I put my makeup on and I'm looking, I'm looking all right. I want you to be all right looking next to me. So the idea that women aren't visual and just men are visual and men are sexual is the biggest lie ever told. Because when women sit around with other women, we notice good looking men. We like good looking men. We like men who look nice. We are attracted to whatever we're attracted to. And that goes into us also picking men, just like men do. Men like good looking women. It's human. Human like pretty things. We like pretty shit. So the idea that I think that always gets left out of the narration is like, women, you don't like nice men. Yeah, we do like nice men, but what they looking like, what they working with. I love nice men. But if you're looking like a troll, then I'm gonna step away from that. I'll be like, well, he nice and everything, but like I said, I'm not into the money thing. So for me, I'm like, looks is a big reason why I'm attracted to somebody. It is looks. It's the first thing I notice. Like I said, I'm not a gold digger. I'm not looking for your money. I like a man who's smart, but I also like a man that's good looking. I like my version of good looking, which again, it's not like you got to be a supermodel. No, what I consider to be nice looking, you got to be put together. You have to, which started my conversation, this whole live stream. So the hatred that BTS has found and boy groups has found is just men being haters and being petty and being jealous. That they don't understand it. They're like, I don't understand why y'all find it. I've had many guys like, but they look like girls and I don't understand because you're a man. What is there for you to understand? I'll be looking at men like, what do you mean? Well, I just don't understand. You're a straight man. Why would you understand? Why would a straight man understand what a woman is attracted to on a deeper level? Men wouldn't understand that. And for women, for BTS and a lot of boy groups, it is deeper than just looks. It is their personality, it is their talent. There's other things that go into it. But the idea of any man telling me, well, I don't understand why you're attracted to BTS, they're not even that attractive. You're a straight man. Why would you know about that? Go on now. That's not something a lot of straight men would understand. There are some straight men who get it, who look at BTS and be like, I get it. Yeah, the way they dress, they're dancing, they singing. I know some straight men like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I can see why y'all go for that. Yeah. But then there's some other men that just let their jealousy and hatred be like, they not even, just be haters. They talk shit about BTS. I've seen videos comparing BTS to anime, football, movie characters. Me too. I was like, it is very similar to anime. A lot of the anime girls, I'm an anime fan, that a lot of anime people who love anime are intersex with BTS. So a lot of the girls who really love anime like K-pop. And I can see how BTS just looks like, in K-pop groups, look like anime characters come to life, whether they be men or women. I can see that. There is an appeal for me on there because I do like anime and I do like the aesthetic of anime. But you can't compare it to movie characters or football. It's just not, it's a whole level of masculinity that I think that, particular in the West, that people don't understand. The Eastern version of I tell people all the time, knowing Korean culture and talking to Korean men and having Korean men interested in me and try to date me, that Korean dating and attraction is different than in the West. And that applies to a lot of countries. What's attractive in your country may be different than the beauty standard in my country. So in Korea and a lot of Asia, there's different versions of attractiveness. But one of them is like the flower boy. And so it's the real soft masculinity. It's what people in the West call soft masculinity. And it has spread into different countries. So a lot of people were here where you have a hard version of masculinity. Women have kind of turned, a lot of us K-pop ladies have turned away from the hard masculinity to the westernized version of masculinity, and now we're into the soft masculinity. And so, soft masculinity is, guys who dress not effeminate, but dress up. BTS always look nice. They always look good. Even when they're wearing like hoodies and sweatshirts, and they still look good. They still look, even if they're wearing no brand, a white t-shirt and some pants. They understand, especially if they're going to be on camera, that they're going to be on camera. They understand that. So they understand even when they're casual and they're stripped down, they still look put together. You never see BTS with scraggly beards and facial hair, even though they do grow facial hair. But it's something that you don't never see. They go and get laser treatments to have hair taken off their bodies, their chest, their back. And then on top of that, Asian men are not that hairy anyway. Um, but they do have hair removal treatments to remove the hair off their face particularly. And then if they have any other spots like on their body, they've removed. Well, that's part of the industry though. But it's just that what we call soft masculinity. There's a whole psychology behind it in the Asian boy love is a big thing. Like I've talked about BL before. That's a whole anime manga thing slash fiction in K-pop and in anime. And it's very much in Asia. Like for Asia to be that conservative and like people consider Asia to be anti-gay, there's a lot of boy love. Not just Thailand, because Thailand, they all out there. They're culturally gay friendly in Thailand because it's really kind of part of their culture. And so in Thailand they've embraced it. They're lady boys, and they've kind of embraced that part of their culture because it's been around a long time. And so there was lady boys in the king of Thailand's court, and so their status have been a lot, they've fought hard to have it normalized, and now it's normalized. Like the king of Thailand came out and made a law saying it's okay for you to be gay and be a lady boy in Thailand. Like it's fine. Like nobody cares. And then their culture is very beautiful because parents still want to see them get married. So it's not really like this big thing. But in the rest of Asia, it's very conservative. But still, people still like to see two men together. Like it's still a very weird thing that doesn't really go on, here. So I just tell people that it's different strokes from different folks. Like nobody can come at me and be like, well, feminine is this and masculine is this, because what are we talking about? Are we talking about in the West? Because in the West, feminine and masculine is two different things than what's in the East or India or China or what. It varies. That's a very Western notion of what we got going on in America that doesn't necessarily have the same equivalent in other countries. Even in the Muslim world, the ideas of masculine and feminine is different. It's just different. Even in Africa, it's just different. When you get into Christianity and religion and westernized notions and values, that changes masculine and femininity. And people talk about it like it's just this blank thing all over the world. I'm like, no, having a man that knows how to dress and know how to carry himself, that's a big thing in the East. It's a big thing. Here it's not. If you dress a certain way or don't act a certain way, then it's considered effeminate. Well, men don't wear makeup. Well, men in Seoul and South Korea, there are men who wear makeup. Here it's like, oh my God, a man wearing makeup, that's effeminate. It's not effeminate there. Men go and get their skin treated in Seoul, in the bigger cities. Men go get their hair treated, they get their skin treated, they may wear makeup. It's not a masculine, it's just about looking your best. They live in a very competitive society, whether it be competition with money, but then also competition with looks. Your looks can determine whether you get a job or not a lot of times in South Korea. So when you're living in a big city like Seoul, it's highly competitive. Like when you're trying to find a maid, you're trying to find a job, all of that is very highly competitive. And looks is a part of that. And at least South Koreans are honest about it. In other countries, they like, oh, it doesn't matter what you look like. Yeah, dude. South Korea, it do. It do a lot. Some people hate it. They're like, oh, it's too, people said it's too shallow in Seoul. Like, especially in Seoul. They're like, oh, it's too shallow. People are too, people are image conscious there. And da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, too much is toxic. Yeah, I don't like too much of anything is toxic. But there is something to say that, again, the guys that I know from Korea, whether they be young guys or old guys, they go out shopping. They put outfits together. They like looking clean cut and nice. I like my men clean cut. I like a clean cut guy a lot of times. I like a man whose hair looks nice, who smells good, whose clothes are clean. I don't like disheveled looking like a homeless crackhead. I just know. So there's something to say. There's something for, I think, us to learn in America, how, people are put together. Same thing about women. The women over there, they don't look like they just rolled out of bed. They are dressed nicely. Koreans take a lot of pictures of food, and they take pictures of themselves in the mirror. Like, you see a lot of that in K-pop. And it's not just K-pop. Like, regular Koreans do this too. If you go on Korean social media, you see a lot of pictures of food. You see a lot of scenic pictures. You see a lot of pictures of them in the mirror or at the gym. Here's me wearing this outfit. Or do you like this purse? Oh, you see this bag. Like, you see a lot of that in China and Korea. If you go to their social media spaces, not X, not Twitter. I'm talking about Naver. I'm talking about Hello Talk. I'm talking about Korean social media spaces, Chinese social media spaces. You will see a whole difference in what they post compared to Americans. Americans will post funny memes and jokes and videos and with them together as a couple. And not saying the Koreans don't post that. Koreans, it's a lot of food. It's a lot of, this is a picture of my bag. This is a picture of my house. Look at this. We went shopping here. We went on a trip. Here's pictures of me and my trip. Here's pictures of me and my friend. It's very them being out and doing things. Americans really don't go out and do a lot of things. But I've noticed that in the East, you see a lot of people going out and doing things. So it's just a difference. It's a difference in culture that, again, I appreciate and I like. Shout out to my sister who's in South Korea right now. She's in South Korea right now. She's asleep, but because it's 12 hours ahead. But it's just a difference in culture. It's a difference that she likes and we both like. It's quieter. The streets are real clean in South Korea. But it's just a cultural experience that I think everybody should experience. If you love K-pop, if you love anime, I would implore you to go and visit South Korea, go visit Japan, because it'll change your whole life and how you see, especially if you're American, how you see your own country. Well, Americans are loud. Americans are brash. Americans can be rude. Americans sometimes act like they ain't got no damn home training. Like, it's just I could do a whole video about that, the cultural shock of living in Korea. And it's not for everybody. Some people don't like that. Some people like the way it is in their country or the way it is in America. I'm not one of them, but girl, you do you, but I'm not one of them. So it just depends on where you're at. But anyway, that's my TED talk for today. We didn't got off subject. At the end, once I finish with the subject, then we just have a conversation. That was that was on my spirit today. I just talked about, like, the things that are going on in K-pop. And then, like I said, I was about to say at the end, one day I think someone's going to write a book about K-pop. Mark my words, and I'm going to say this before I get off. Well, and I got sidetracked. One day I feel like, I don't know who it is, somebody in K-pop, deep in K-pop, like famous, and they're going to be out of the business. They're going to be away from the business. And I think that they're maybe going to be living abroad where their money can't be touched, where they can't be blackmailed or influenced. I think somebody, I'm not saying it's going to be a BTS member. It might be a BTS member. Years from now, somebody famous in K-pop, once they're away from the fame and the fortune, once they're out of the business, once they've made their money and they're living overseas somewhere out of South Korea, and maybe they settled in a different country, I think somebody will eventually write a book about K-pop. And I think that the things that this person will write about will shock the industry. And I don't know if it's going to shock the industry in a good way or shock the industry in a bad way, but it's going to shock the industry. I honestly feel like somebody's going to drop the dime on K-pop. I do. And watch it. And then when y'all see it and this book come out, or you hear about a book deal with a K-pop singer, y'all going to be like, Kiki said they was going to write a book. Because I really honestly feel, like I said, not right now, maybe 10, 15 years from now, and we're all older, I think somebody is going to drop the dime on K-pop. I think somebody is going to write an explosive tell-all book, and they're going to do it in a way to push the industry towards change. I don't think they're going to do it in a way where they need the money. I don't think they're going to need the money or the attention. I think they're going to do this because they feel like they're out of Korea, they're safe, their family's safe, their money's safe. Because you can't write a book like that and live in Korea, y'all. You cannot write a tell-all book on K-pop and live in Korea. It is impossible. If your money is tied up in South Korea and in Asia and you live there, you can't write that book. It's going to be somebody who's going to have to live outside of Korea and be in industry and have their assets outside of Korea. Because I do think that there are forces in K-pop that are very powerful, like in the government, that has prevented somebody from dropping the dime on K-pop. I think a lot of the former K-pop singers and people in the industry are scared. They live in Korea, they work in Korea, their businesses is in Korea, their families are in Korea, and they don't want to be blackmailed, blackballed, all of it. But I do feel, honestly, in my heart of hearts, in my spirit, I thought about that the other day, that one day somebody really famous is going to move outside of Korea and start a life outside of Korea, take their money, and they're going to make enough money to where they are going to be virtually untouchable. And this untouchable person is going to write a tell-all book, and y'all are all going to gag. Y'all are going to gag, honey. You're going to be like, and y'all are going to really see what goes on in K-pop. And I'm telling you, it's 10 times more shocking than probably I would ever dream of and I've ever heard. I hear things all the time about what goes on in the industry that I don't say from people who work in the industry. They tell me, and I'm not a gossip channel, so I don't feel like dropping the dimes on my friends because I don't want them to lose their job or somebody to figure out who they are. But there are things that go on in K-pop that you'd be shocked. Like, you'd be really like, what? And then there are things that you wouldn't be shocked. Things that you've been suspected, but then people kind of like shoot it away like, oh, that's not possible. But that you learn and you'd be like, oh my God, that's real? Like, yeah, that's real. So I think somebody's going to write that book. And I think that one day it's going to come out and they're going to try to push the industry towards change. And so I don't know. I think maybe it'll be a BTS member one day. I don't know if they would do that. But if anybody had enough clout, enough power to drop the dimes on K-pop and push the industry towards change, it would be a BTS member. BTS has a lot of power. But the way they're in the industry right now, they wouldn't be able to do it. They would have to be out the industry. They would have to long gone out the industry, living their best life, doing their thing outside of the country. And then they would be able to tell their truth. But somebody's going to speak their truth. Somebody's going to be really disgruntled and upset with the industry in many ways. And behind the scenes, there are K-pop singers who are not happy with everything that goes on in the industry, that they are against certain things that go on in the industry. But one day, I'm waiting that one day, y'all, I promise you, someone's going to write that book. And someone is going to change the face of K-pop in the music industry forever. They're going to tell that tale. And a lot of people are going to have to answer for a lot of things. They're going to have to answer for a lot of things. And they can keep the people's names anonymous. Like, people have written books about hip hop. People have written books about the music industry, the movie industry, and just kept people's names anonymous. They don't have to say anybody's real name. They can use pseudonyms. But I think that when this person writes the book, the industry will change. And the same thing in America. The reason why we have changes in America in the music industry, and it's still shady. Y'all know the stuff with Diddy going on trial this week. Y'all know the stuff is still fucked up here in America. There are people out here having Diddy parties and stuff that ain't Diddy. Y'all know the music industry here is messed up. But the reason why we have so many protections and so many people suspect certain things is because people have written tell-all books about the industry. So I don't know, maybe somebody's wife is going to write a book, or maybe somebody's child is going to write a book, or maybe somebody's going to write an anonymous book. It could be somebody write a book that nobody knows who this person is. And they're going to come out and write an anonymous book. But I feel like within the next 10 to 15 years, somebody is going to drop the dime on the K-pop industry. And it's going to blow this thing up. And then it's going to affect the industry in a negative and in a positive way, and force the industry to kind of change. And things are going to be exposed, and people are going to be exposed. And K-pop fans may not like it. People in the industry are going to hate it. But to me, this is necessary. In order for K-pop to change fundamentally as a business, somebody has to blow this shit up and just be like, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. These people are doing this. This person exploiting. These people experience. And they're just going to have to talk about their experiences in the industry. And I think once that happens, once people start feeling comfortable enough to tell their truth, then other people will come out the woodwork and be like, yeah, I experienced that too. Or yeah, that happened to me too. Or yeah, this is what goes on behind the scenes. Yes, I can verify. Once somebody puts themselves out there, then the other people will feel more comfortable putting themselves out there. And then we get to see what the business really is. And you would be really surprised, like the machinations behind the business, forcing, kind of pushing fans towards certain toxic behaviors that I go against. But I understand that these PR companies and these Korean firms have pushed the fans towards certain very damaging, horrible, toxic things. And so you'll get to see, like, hopefully this person or people or entity will write this book to where the fans can really get to see what's going on and how their favorites are really being treated, and how these companies have PR firms manipulating numbers, manipulating online activity. I believe there's a lot of manipulation psychologically, physically, emotionally, financially in K-pop, in any industry, but we're talking about K-pop. And I think that once that has been exposed, the contracts will change, the fans will change, K-pop stars may maybe be able to date. I think the whole industry will change if somebody would really just expose all of this. And it'll be some growing pains, and people will be called to task, and people don't want to be called to task in any country, but I think that it is very necessary to move the business along. And I want K-pop to thrive and grow and move along, but the way it's going now, it's so slow that somebody just has to blow this up to move things along. Because I don't want slave content stage. I don't want people trying to unalive themselves and burn themselves. I want people starving. And but there are people in the industry that feel like this is the only way that they can make a successful group. And there's other ways that you just need people to think outside of the box and be like, how, instead of doing this, can we do this? But there's a lot of old guard in any industry that don't want things to change. And that's any industry. There's always the old guard that want things to stay the way they stayed, where they always been. And this is the way we've always made money and always did groups and always trainees. They have to sit there and train 12 hours a day. That's just how it is. There's a lot of that in the industry with choreographers, with managers, with executives who think the same way. And then when somebody comes and bucks up against that, it's very frowned upon. So it's kind of like a go along to get along kind of spirit in K-pop too. It's like, even though you see things that you're like, wait, I don't necessarily agree with that, you just kind of like look over to your senior and you just like, okay, I ain't saying nothing. You don't say anything because you're like, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want people to think that I'm not on board or thinking that I'm finna go snitch. So you just kind of keep your head down, especially if you're not in control, you're just a worker. They see things all the time that just is not right. But you just kind of like, look over to your senior and they not saying anything. So you just kind of like, all right, well, let me just go back over here to my biz girl. There's nobody willing to rock the boat, especially when in society is a very collectivist society. So nobody really wants to rock the boat. So it would take somebody really powerful to rock this boat and experience and be able to take the blowback financially and societal wise from exposing the industry. But again, like I said, they could try to do it anonymously. Maybe that would be the avenue, but eventually somebody's going to spill who it is. So I think that you can only keep anonymous for so long, but that's my prediction for the business. So look for it. If you hear it, just be like, he said it. I feel like there are things that people want to do this. Like, people are really sitting around going, what if we wrote a book and said this and this and this? Or what if we just get out of the industry and come out and say this and that? I think these talks are murmuring around a lot of people, especially with a lot of these stars like unaliving themselves, a lot of these stars going broke, a lot of these stars are unhappy, a lot of these stars have eating disorders, a lot of these stars, like, a lot of this stuff is going on. And so I just think that some people are like, well, we have to do something, and they feel like if they expose the business, that it will benefit the artists in particular a lot better if they just expose the business. Like, we expose the business, it would benefit everybody. That's kind of like the sentiment from what I've heard. So I don't, like I said, it won't be anytime soon. I don't think. It may or may not be, but it's going to take somebody powerful. And I don't know if people are willing to put their careers and their livelihoods on the line. So anyway, y'all, that's it. I appreciate everybody, JK, being here, all the lurkers who came on here and lurked and watched my video. I appreciate it. I'm in this car. I'm sweating now. I'm at work now. And this has been a long live stream, but I appreciate it. Make sure you thumbs up. Make sure you like. Make sure you comment. And I will be back next week with another weekly K-pop review and my interesting my biting commentary. Yeah, y'all, my biting commentary. And I appreciate all my new subscribers. I've gained over 1,200 subscribers in a week due to my one short that went viral. It has 840,000 views right now. So I appreciate everybody that has been here. I will, like I said, come on and do the video about BTS Reactor Con and my experience there and the people that I met in the YouTube content creators. I met Lonely Dad was there and I was terrified to go up to Lonely Dad, but I'll get into it in another video. I know a lot of y'all know who Lonely Dad is. He's a BTS reactor and he was there and I have videos and it was a really fun time. But I appreciate all my new subscribers. I love y'all. Make sure you look at my shorts. I try to post videos every day. But anyway, you guys have a good day. I'm up here sweating, child. Girl, you see me up here sweating, girl? Girl, I never sweat, girl. It's hot in Texas. I got a sweater on, girl. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, y'all, bye.